And then give me 1 second. Let's just go live on IG. Give me 1 second. All right. There we go. All right. So we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome
What up,
to
Will?
another session of the Gobble Pop Podcast. Wednesday Hot Topics, live out of San Francisco on these Wednesday nights. We have another hot topic to discuss for you guys. And of course, as you guys can see, we have a full panel. We have a packed panel for tonight. So we're going to have a great podcast for you guys. As always, you guys already know, if you're tuning in to my live shows, definitely appreciate you guys. If you see the value in the content, I see you, Tim M on the live chat already. Appreciate you on the live chat. But as always, if you see value in the content, the best way to support me is to smash that subscribe button real quick. Thank you so much for everybody. As always, don't forget this is a public show. So you guys already know I do allow people to jump on the panel. I see Ziri. Hey, Ziri. Good to see you. And as always, this is a live show. If you want to jump on, the link is in the description of this video. All right, a lot of you guys reach out to me on IG asking me, how do I jump on the show? I'm not from the Bay Area. I'm not from Cali. This is the best time to join the pod on the Wednesday when we do it virtually. So the link is in the description. Go below, click on that link, and you'll be able to jump on and be part of the conversation. As always, if you have your opinion, if you want your voice to be heard, or your opinions to be heard, drop it through a super chat. That's the best way. I'll be able to put it on the screen, read it out for you guys, and also react and respond to you guys. So if you have any specific questions to any of the panelists, if you have a specific question for the panel, if you want us to discuss that's related to tonight's topic, drop it through a super chat, and I'll be able to respond to you guys. But as always, thank you so much. I think that's pretty much all my YouTube stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, if you're tuning in and watching this from IG, Facebook, X, and Twitch, to get the full experience, come over to YouTube. You'll definitely be able to participate on the live chat, and you'll be able to jump on as a public guest. The description's in the video on YouTube. So if you're watching this from the other platforms, definitely come over and support. And don't forget to smash that subscribe button real quick. And of course, it's a live show. Let's get that live chat popping. Let me know what you guys think. Don't be a ninja watcher. Don't be a creep. All right, say something in the live chat. It's a live show. Participate. Let's have some fun. But I would love to hear what you guys think about tonight's topic from the men and the women. I always appreciate your opinions and your inputs on the live chat. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in. We have a great show. Let's go right into it. First and foremost, shout out to the panel. All right. Thank you so much. I know, thank you so much for making the time. I do appreciate you guys for joining and be part of the podcast and to have a great discussion tonight. A lot of new faces here tonight and some familiar faces from previous podcasts. So if you guys don't mind, you're going to give yourselves a quick intro for who you are. And then after everybody has gone, and then we'll go right into the topic that we're going to discuss. So I'll start with you, Claudia. Claudia, want to give yourself a quick intro for everybody out there. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Claudia. I am in Massachusetts as of now. And if anyone's interested to know, I'm in a relationship. So whatever opinion I have, maybe not so great or very good.
All right. Thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you for making the time. We'll keep it moving. Pass it to you, Ren. Ren, go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
Hello, I'm Ren Michelle. I'm based in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm an actress, and I'm coming from the single standpoint. So that's me.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Ren. Thank you for making the time. We'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Fawn. Fawn, go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
Hey, I'm Fawn. I'm a single mother, separated, actress, model. I mean, you name it. I can do it. Jane of all trades, but yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Fawn. Appreciate making the time. Keep it moving. And pass it to you, Honey Dreads. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
Do I have to say my government name?
You don't have to.
All right. No, I'm just saying. My name's Natalie. I go by Honey Dreads on social media. Originally from California, but I'm going live from Salt Lake City, Utah. Spoken word artist, makeup artist, Yep, that's about it. Oh, and I'm single.
All right, thank you so much, Honey Dreads. Honey Dreads, what's your what ward are you repping? Just kidding, you don't have to answer that.
I know you lying. You better knock it off.
Appreciate Honey Dreads. Thank you so much for making the time. We'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Rose. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
Hi, nice to meet you all. My name is Rose. I'm from Michigan. I am a storyteller, and I say I'm married, but it's planned. We're marrying this summer in Puerto Rico, but we're not married yet. So I just like to say I'm married to keep everybody, in the shadows. Like, hey, like you just know that there's no access here. That's it.
Okay, just keep him in the shadow realm. Okay, all right, no worries. Thank you so much, Rose. I appreciate you for jumping on. And last but not least, Ziri, thank you so much for making the time. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro. Good to see you again.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ziri. You can call me Zai. I'm joining from Oakland, California. And yeah, I'm a music data specialist. And yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And thank you for the great introductions. As always, I see Dragonfly Jones' cousin. Appreciate you guys on the live chat and different entertainment. Good to see you. Don't forget, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, if you do want to jump on, the public link is in the description below. Click on that link and you'll be able to jump on and be part of the conversation. So we'll go right into it. The topic we're going to this. Oh, I totally forgot the fellas. That's my fault. That is my fault.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Your sexist, Will.
No,
Right.
off to a great start.
That's my fault. I gotta give myself a sound effect. All right. I deserve that. My fault, fellas. Before we go into it, let me pass it to the fellas. Get their intros real quick. I'll start with you, Genius Manic. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
Hi, I'm the Manic Genius. I'm just here to listen, to learn, and just correct everybody when they're wrong. Right. I'll give you guys kudos when you're right.
All right. Thank you so much, Manic Genius. Appreciate it. And I'll pass it to you, Jerk. Go ahead and give yourself a quick intro.
All right, I'm the Sophisticated Jerk, married, and I'm just here to try to bring light-skinned guys back. So ladies, place your bids now, because come like next year, you're going to be priced out the market if you don't grab a light-skinned guy now. So just want to let y'all know.
All right, repping all the light-skinned fellas tonight. All right, sounds good. All right, thank you so much, Jerk. Manic.
So that's funny.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you for the great introductions. That's my fault, fellas. But thank you so much. But we'll go right into it. The topic we're going to be discussing tonight: who has more influence to improve the modern dating culture, men or women? So I saw this trending topic online. There's this video that actually went viral. So let me just play this video real quick. It's about 20 seconds, just to get everybody some context. But this girl made this video about who has more. Well, she was talking about who has the most influence to improve the modern dating culture, but she was specifically talking about the hookup culture and how hookup culture has ruined relationships and in her opinion, how to fix it. So let me just play this video real quick. And of course, as you guys watching this video, let me know what you guys think as you're reacting to it on the live chat. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. But let me just play this video real quick.
Men control hookup culture and it's men's fault. That's false. Hookup culture is actually women that control it. We control hookup culture because we're the gatekeepers of sex. And if guys aren't getting it, then they're gonna have to commit. That's just how it is. So the faster women realize that, the better it is, and the sooner this hookup culture ends. Simple.
Okay.
Who hurt her?
All right. So, so the modern dating culture, at the end of the day, most people, most, there's always exceptions, but most people, they want a good long-term committed relationship and find a good, healthy partner for both men and women. But there is a lot of people criticizing today's modern dating culture that I think we talked about it pre-show. It's hard out there for everybody, wherever you are in the world. And I think a lot of it has, there's so many things going on, but we can just point out one thing: hookup culture. A lot of people are finding a hard time to find somebody that's willing to be committed and not be disloyal or go outside the relationship. So the topic we're going to be discussing is who has most influence to improve the modern dating culture, men or women. And I just want to make it clear for the panel, I want to focus on influence, but not responsibility. I think it'd be fair to say that responsibility goes to both people, men and women. But if we're talking about influence, who has the most influence to affect the opposite sex so they can improve the standards of the modern dating culture? So do women as a collective, do they have the most influence as men? So if they want men to do better, do women have to raise their standards to be better? Or is it opposite or vice versa? If men want women to be better, then as men, do we have to raise our standards to influence women to be better? So it's an interesting conversation. So that's the focus tonight. I think sometimes when we have these conversations, a lot of people will say, well, relationship goes both ways, but I think that's more focused on responsibility. And I think, in a relationship, responsibility is shared. But if we're talking about the influence to improve the modern dating culture and the problems that we see today, that's what I really want to focus on. So I would love to hear what you guys think. And of course, there's always more topics. There's some subtopics I want to bring up to the conversation tonight that we're also going to talk about tonight as well. But as always, thank you so much, everybody in the live chat. Let's get that live chat popping. I see you, Gasmaster, in the live chat. Thank you so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, the link is in the description. If you want to click on that link, you'll be able to jump on and be part of a guest. But I'll start with the ladies. Let me know what you guys think. Then I'll go back to the fellas, and then we can open it up for open conversation. If you want to respond to somebody, whether you agree or disagree. All right. I'll start with you, Rose. Rose, what's your opening thoughts about the topic? Who has, and if you don't mind, ladies and gentlemen on the panel, when you respond, can you just give us who has the most influence, men or women, and then give your reasoning why you think that person, the men or women, have the most influence. So start with you, Rose. Rose, who has the most influence to improve the modern dating culture, and women?
I believe men, because they have the most opportunities in the world right now, the most access to all the things that we enjoy in life. So because of that, I feel that if they have that facility, they can put it to good. I mean, it's up to them, because at the end of the day, I feel like we all learn from them. And what we're doing is just a reaction of, a lot of things that we women suffered collectively over the past years. So it's like a revelation or something like that. So I feel that I'm understanding of where they're coming from. But at the same time, if we really want to change that, it takes the person who changed the rules to put them back up, if that makes sense. That's my thought in it.
Okay. All
Make
right.
the
So
rules stick by them, or just, let's come to an agreement.
okay, Rose. All right. Thank you so much. So men are has the most influence. All right. Thank you so much, Rose. Sophisticated Jerk. Thank you so much. All right. Support the show. Thank you, Jerk, for the donation. Appreciate you. But we'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Honey Dreads. Honey Dreads, what do you think? Who has the most influence, men or women, and why?
I agree. I kind of agree with her in the video when she says that, like, it's us women, because I feel like the hookup culture. I mean, it's more common to like have a sneaky link these days than like I don't know, that whole thing is like, it's so common these days. I don't know. That's not really. That one's kind of weird to me. But like us women, like we have that power. Like, we can turn guys down, and if we force them to, like, if the more easier us women are to, to say yes to that kind of stuff, it's gonna become normal. Like, and then guys are not gonna like go for the girls who have like standards, because if they want something, they're just gonna go find it somewhere else. I don't know. I'm still kind of gathering my thoughts, but that's just like what's coming to mind right now. I feel like it's women, like, because I feel like we control that.
Okay.
more than the men do.
All right. Thank you so much. So we got one for women and one for men. So it's 1-1 right now. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays. Thank you so much, Honey Dreads. We'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Ren. Ren, what do you think? Who has the most influence and why?
I was really thinking about this question while y'all were talking. I kind of agree with her in the video too, that it does fall on women because I see it from both standpoints, from men and women. Women, I feel like, have gotten a lot more masculine, as in they're very like, oh, I don't need no man. I can do things on my own, that kind of thing. And then they're like, yes, I just have like a hookup buddy to satisfy that need. But I feel like women have gotten that way too because men as a society aren't as strong as they once were, and they don't lead women the way that they once did. So I feel like it does take both parts. And I know you had mentioned about like responsibility and stuff, but influence, I would say women overall, because we do have to set our own standards and realize our own worth of like, okay, well, what do I want long term, not just like in this moment. I hope that makes sense.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that, Ren. All right. So women, and then we'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Claudia. Claudia, what do you think? Who has the most influence and why?
That's a
Claudia?
tough one. I think based on the video itself, I kind of agree with her. But I think what confuses me with the term hookup culture is, do we want to look for that, or do we want to look for a long-term relationship, right? If you are willing to hook up with someone, I assume hookup means, doing the dirty deed. I think you're allowing that. You're allowing to be okay with it being just a hookup. But if you do want something more real with a person, like a relationship, you wait, you take your time to, just get to know the person. And I do think that a woman has the power, we're sitting on gold mine, like they say. So yeah, I think it's something that we as women need to practice to take care of more. I'm not saying that men shouldn't. I think they should as well. But yeah, I think moving towards women.
Okay. All right. It's right now. It's 3 women, 1 man. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you for sharing. We'll keep it moving. I'll pass it to you, Fawn. Fawn, what do you think? Who do you think has the most influence and why?
I'm usually really on the fence. Just I'm open-minded. I can always see from both sides of the argument, whatever it may be. But honestly, as much as I want to put it on men, it's on women. Like that chick really got it right, because even speaking to men about this is something that I've been talking about since last month. For whatever reason, it just keeps coming up. But we really do set the standard as women because we are what's yearned for from men. And we know this, men will take whatever they can get, while women will only take what they want. So if we raise our standards and stop giving in, they have no choice but to step up to the plate.
Oh,
That's it,
okay.
plain and simple.
All right, Fawn. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Fawn. And last but not least, and I apologize if I mispronounce her name, Zairi. Did I get her correctly?
Yeah, Zaire, that's how you say it.
All right,
Um,
appreciate it.
so yeah, I think I'm kind of in the middle because I think that women have the most power to end hookup culture, because we're the ones being approached by men usually, and like they were saying, we have the power to say no to people who aren't, meeting our standards. But I also think that with that, men may act interested in the woman in a different way just to get sex. And then, because men already do that to a lot of women, like pretend that they're genuinely interested and they just want sex. So I think that's something that could happen more if more women are to be just to be like, no, like I don't want to hook up with you. So in that way, I think that men have influence by just being honest. Like, I'm not looking for a commitment right now. I think men fail to do that a lot because they're trying to avoid rejection. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. So I think women kind of have the most influence, but I think it could also just lead to men lying more.
Okay. But you lead towards more for the women. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Appreciate that. I'll pass it to the fellas. Let me know what you guys think on the live chat. What do you guys, who has the most influence, men and women? And let me know your reasoning why. But I'll pass it to the fellas. I'll start with you, Jerk. Jerk, what do you think? Who has the most influence to improve the modern dating culture, men and women? Go ahead.
Damn, this is kind of a tough question. Now, everybody gave some pretty good answers, but I'm gonna have to say the men. And the reason why is because, and some of y'all kind of alluded to it, we lack standards. Honestly, we're thirsty. So it puts us in a position where, a lot of guys kind of pedestalize, like, I'll say vagina, so that's why they're willing to do all this stuff and kind of, I'll say, mess up the market somewhat. So I think it falls on guys, because guys need to kind of raise their standards, because there's good women out there, but a lot of times we'll entertain, I'll say, the bad women that don't have the good characteristics and stuff. So, it's almost in a way where it's like rewarding bad behavior and stuff. So I think that's what kind of also messes up the market from what a lot of people, when I'm hearing that's going on, at least from a guy's perspective, is just like, hey, here's I say bad characteristics that they're dealing with and stuff. So I'll say definitely men, because of the lack of standard.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Jerk. All right. So 2 for men and 5 for women. I'll pass it to you, Genius. Genius, what do you think?
Add another to the column of men, for all the reasons that the Jerk said. And at the end of the day, I think just having awareness, that's something that a lot of guys have to develop just through experience and trial and error. We start off very early, facing rejection and dealing with that. So it's a humbling experience, because, as you know, most relationships really are about timing. You could be the perfect match for somebody, but if you're not in their life at the right time, it's just, things are just not going to align. So it's definitely men, because, if we just chose not to accept, that bad behavior, things would have to change, or people would just be stuck as single. OnlyFans cannot exist without men. It's not women paying for all this content and funding lifestyles. It's men. So men could really end OnlyFans if they had discipline. So, but that's where the awareness has to come from, the perspective of a woman. You have to realize that the majority of these men, will engage in those type of activities. So the spectrum of men, it's not just like this, it's like way out here. And I feel that a lot of women, lack the discernment to recognize that. And, that just comes with experience. But I feel like there's a lot of bad information out there from older women who like failed and like in their dating experience. And they're like trying to manipulate the youth, the younger women coming up, to, kind of make them kind of take that same miserable route, because, misery loves company.
To keep them single.
Yeah. And to keep their friends, if you have your best friend and she's single, and like, let's put a visual. I love visuals. Let's say she's completely out of shape. She takes no accountability. She's a fun friend. She's, you have a great time with her, but as far as prospects, no guy is looking at that because of not just her physical, but her attitude. So somebody like that, if she's your best friend or in your close circle, you think she's going to, be on your side or help you find a relationship? No, she's going to be looking for every single flaw that a dude that you're trying to talk to has, because she needs her friend. She needs somebody to kick it with. And if your friend is in a relationship, then yeah, it's a wrap. So yeah, it's men, we got to be better.
Okay. All right. Thank you for sharing that, Genius. I mean, ladies, do you guys have a friend like that? That type of friend that Manic just explained? Do you guys have any friends like that?
I did. I used to. She is no longer in my life because I realized I don't want that kind of person in my life. You know, standards for relationships and friendships.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So appreciate everybody for sharing their input. Does anybody want to respond to anybody or add on to what somebody said, or anybody
I
want to
just
go?
want to make, yeah, I just want to make a quick observation. I love how the women looked at it from their perspective. You know, when answering these questions, we all look through our own, you know, lens. And I loved how the women, you know, put the blame on the women. It's like, oh no, we got to be better. It's more accountable. And you see, you know, both of the men on the panel, you know, we put the blame on ourselves because, you know, you got to be held accountable. Like if men weren't tricking, if men weren't, you know, living these falsehoods, then you know, everybody would have to be honest. So I just like that observation.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I think that men have the responsibility to be more honest and really like speak on what they want. But I think that women have the influence overall as far as what we will accept and will not accept. And that's why I think that it's really on both. But it just depends on like how far you're willing to look into it. Because a lot of women who are down for hookups or whatever it's really like out of lack of love. It's usually like childhood trauma. And I know like that's therapy talking, but there's so much more than just what's on the surface.
But the reason I would say it has to land on men, because I think a couple people mentioned, you know, like sitting on gold and stuff. So the reason why you have that mindset is because men are so thirsty, you know. So it's just like if we weren't so thirsty, and we would kind of have, you know, we have more self control and stuff like that. You know, that mindset wouldn't be there, you know. So that's why I think men, we just got to exercise more control and more discipline and stuff.
So you're saying instead of gold, they'd be sitting on copper?
Recycled plastic.
agree-
No, I'm joking.
Jerk, I agree with you too from the men's standpoint, and I know from the women. I think, you know, I think guys, yes, are usually a lot more thirsty than women, but women also need to know their worth and be like, no, I'm not settling for this. And it goes for the same for guys too. So it is on both parties, you know, and we are trapped in this vicious cycle of like, oh, like just live your life, hook up, go to the next person, just like to satisfy that need. But I'm like, in the end, it's only damaging you in the long run, because it's just like it's tainting your how you see your potential partner or your future or even yourself. And you know, I think we just all need to like just stop, pause, focus on ourselves, and then, you know, go back to how dating used to be. I miss the old dating culture, you know.
And that also applies when you mention discipline. Women should have discipline as well, not just men. Discipline is such an important trait to have. You know, it's just something that you need to practice. It's not something that you just have, but you know, we live and we learn. But I think discipline is very crucial for men and women.
Sorry, can I say something?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I agree with the guys and like the other girls on the panel. I still kind of feel like it's, I don't know. I still I'm trying to see it from the guy's perspective, but I still feel like it majority of it falls on the women, because like yeah, the guys these days, like they're hella thirsty and like, you know, it's so normal with that now. But like with how the women are now, I feel like we're like enabling them more. Like the more we accept that, you know what I mean? So like if women stop enabling that, then like it's gonna force the guys to become better, to think better, you know, to like, I don't know, like to raise their standards as men and like to be better men so that they're not thirst balls and like, you know, throwing themselves at women.
Or to lie more, which is what I was saying earlier. Because I agree that it can force men to be better, but I also recognize that there are a lot of men that would do anything to get access to a woman. And like I already think it's pretty common for men to do that. So to pretend like they're looking for a relationship when all they really want is sex and then kind of lead women on in that way. But like, I do agree with you, but that's just another idea.
True. This is random. It's making me think of that movie, Think Like a Man. You know, the book, how they make them do the 90-day thing.
Honey
Yeah,
Dreads
Sorry, that was just
is
a random thought.
100%.
I
Honey Dreads is
believe it's
100%
like an
spot on.
illusion. It may look like we have the power, but it's all an illusion. Look at it this way. You can go outside naked, and if the men just don't look at you, or every time they looked at you, they looked away, nothing would really happen. And it would make you feel a type of way because that's not really what you're looking for. Like if you're coming outside like that, either is to be liberated or to be a exhibitionist. Is that how you say that word?
Yeah.
Exhibitionist.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. Which both of them are, I guess, to each their own, I guess. But you see, it's like if men just don't engage in it, it's eventually it will change, because women ultimately are looking to have a mate where they can procreate. I mean, that's just in biology. We also have our unique consciousness that allows us to think beyond and like, oh, maybe I don't want to have kids. Maybe I want to do something else. And like we experiment in the universe, but I feel that ultimately that's just what we were wired to do. As humans, like other animals, they have their pairs, they do what they do. We're humans and we have our pairs and we do what we do, and we continue in history. But that's just my opinion.
I think
But that's basically just what I say. It's more men, because if they did not engage in it, I mean, if you see most of the websites for like adult sites and stuff like that, they're all made by men. Because they know they can capitalize, and we live in a consumerism environment, and this world is just made for us to consume. So with our consciousness, we can
Can I
actually
say something?
control that. But yeah, go ahead.
So as you were talking, I was thinking, and then what you just said really triggered something. Men are buying this and consuming these things, but women are putting them up, right? Women are putting themselves out there, right? So if women weren't putting themselves out there, they wouldn't buy it, right? There would be nothing. I don't know. It's a tough conversation
I
because
mean, that's completely
Can
obvious.
I jump in there real quick?
Oh, go ahead.
Can I jump in there real quick?
Yeah.
There's an old saying: the greatest thing the devil ever did was convince the world he didn't exist. The greatest thing men have done is convince women they don't have the power when it comes to dating. They have all the power. Men rise to whatever levels are set by the women they're trying to pursue. If you say, if every woman as a consensus said, we need every man to graduate from college before you get anywhere near the vagina, male college graduation would skyrocket through the roof. And the difference is women could never come to a consensus on the standards that need to be met. And here's why. Less desirable women will see sex as advantage over more desirable women if they held that standard. And that's how the hookup culture became into play. Desirable women were getting all the attention, and then less desirable, like, well, to even the playing field, let me start giving up the box. Yep. Because that's what they really want. Evidently, they want the box. So let's start giving up the box. And then the more desirable women was like, wait, what happened to all these men that were chasing us? They're with these women that they felt like were below them. So it's like, well, we're going to start doing that as well. And when we do it, we're going to label it as empowerment, or we're going to label it as something good to be done, something that's justified, what have you. So we can take that power back from the less desirable women. And that's what happened. Women control dating, they control sex, men control marriage.
But they ain't even. Oh, my bad, Dan. But even from your example, men have the influence to a certain degree. Because when you were saying it, even in your scenario, you were like, when we started going after the desirable women, that's what trigger them to like, start acting a little different. So that's what I'm saying. Like if you look at the cause and effect, it kind of leads to men.
It's still the less desirable women found a way to control men.
But I think that what you said, you could say the exact same thing about women. Like if men said, I will only marry a woman or this and that with a woman if she's a college graduate, I think women's college graduation levels would go up too. I think it goes both ways. And I also think that women are not used to being told no. Like as a woman, getting sex is so easy. We don't get rejected as often as men because men are less picky. So like I know I said women had the most influence earlier, but I do think that if men were more picky, like for example, men will have a sexual relationship with a woman that they don't see fit for marriage or that they don't see fit to have a real romantic relationship with. So that gives women this
and why would they do
that they're desired.
Why would they do that? Why would a man sleep with a woman he finds less desirable? He's like trying to have that's not suitable for a long-term relationship or marriage.
I think that's a question that the men
she was
to release tension.
Because he wants the box.
Exactly, just to
because he's easy.
Can we do like what hookup culture is? It's that men want to have sex.
No. Well,
I think
that's a way of women to control and have access to men they may not have access to.
Hold on real quick, Dame. I just want to stop you because it was a great question. You asked, why do you think men do that? Why do you think men sleep with women that they see no future with and don't want to be with? Can we just do like a quick poll with all the women? Like what is your, just like real quick? We'll start with Claudia and just go across.
What's the question?
Why do men sleep with women that they don't see any future with? Like what is your initial thought on that? Without going too deep.
Just for the pleasure.
Pleasure. Okay.
Just
Ren,
for the act.
Yeah. Okay, Ren, what do you got?
I mean, same thing to satisfy that need in the moment. So.
Okay. Fawn?
It's easy. It's right then and there. They don't have to step up to no level.
So, Zyrie?
Yeah, exactly. It's literally, that's what hookup culture is. That's exactly what hookup culture is. They're getting in a sexual relationship with someone they can't see in a real relationship, but that's literally how hookup culture began.
But why? Why would a man do that? What's your thought? Just for the pleasure? Okay. Rose.
It's available and not regulated.
Okay. And Honey Dreads.
Yep, you got an itch, you're gonna scratch it. Like,
all right, I'm gonna go to Damien first. I want to hear his take, and then I'm gonna go to Sophisticated
I said it. They would do it because they want.
Don't say they. Like, we're men. We do it because what?
Well, I'm married, so I don't do it anymore. Right?
Shout out to Dame.
Okay. Most men.
The single or guys who cheat do it because it's they just want the pleasure and the thrill of it. They just want the access. It's a biological imperative to spread our seed and have sex with as many women as I can. And some people just choose not to go against that biological imperative.
All right.
So, Jerk. Damien, would you say for your answer to the question?
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna get Jerk because I'm gonna give y'all just. I'm gonna give my answer. But Jerk, what do you say is the reason why men just sleep around with women that they have no expectations for any future with?
The same reason like the females do in the hookup culture. Everybody trying to get it in, man. We're all for the streets. That's entertainment.
Entertainment. Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say it's a bit more complicated than that. I think everybody has their own reason, but I think the reason initially starts with male validation. Whether or not it's internal or external.
That's another conversation to have.
Yeah. So I think men, we start off with the understanding that, the more women you get, the more powerful a man you are, because it's an easy metric, to start off with. So it's like almost like a
push
test.
Back for that bullshit.
Yeah.
But continue.
No. I got a caveat, not pushback.
Yeah, I gotta push back that.
Yeah. So I think when men first start getting out there, sleeping around with women, it's a lot of that. But yeah, I'd love to hear the pushback.
Mine's
Let me
is,
let me let me
go
let me
ahead.
just read this. Let me just read the super chat real
Okay.
quick, and I'll pass it back to you guys. And you guys can
Okay.
go ahead. UK economist, thank you so much. All right. It seems that many women choose low quality men. The question is, why aren't women choosing quality men to begin with, as it will show that good behavior is rewarded rather than bad behavior? Oh, interesting take. All right. Thank you so much, UK economist. Ren, did you want to respond to that?
Yes, I do. I
Go ahead.
read that and I was like, oh, I have an answer for that.
Go ahead.
Because the quality of men has gone down. And it's very,
No, don't go there.
in my area, at least, in my dating scene, it's very, very hard to find a good quality man, at least one that is open to dating. But also, women, their quality has gone down because it's like I said, it's a vicious cycle. We are all like just searching for that like temporary fix or something that makes us feel worthy in the moment, but ultimately we need to figure that out for ourselves without anybody else. So that's definitely my answer is well, let me reread. Yeah, because it's hard to find good quality men, and then also women, our quality's gone down too. I hate to say it.
Okay, okay, I'll push back to that.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead. I want to hear what you have
So,
to say.
so the thing is, good men are all over the place. There's 5 to 10 good men in your circle right now. You just don't see them because you're not physically attracted to them.
Correct.
That's the thing.
Mhm.
So there's a guy at your job. I said this before. There's a guy named Ernest at your job that would treat you like gold, but you don't see Ernest because he got a belly, his hairline kind of funny, you know.
It's 5 foot.
You know, he's 5'6".
I agree with you on that. Yes.
So don't say this as far as the government. Just find the men you are attracted for the most part aren't necessarily marriage material or good men. If we're gonna put it, just simplify it.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
there's a ton of good men out there.
Yes. No, and
So
I totally agree. And I have some of the best guy friends, but I'm not like physically.
Oh, you friends on them?
exactly,
had
they're
to.
waiting to treat you
Mhm.
like gold.
But there's got to be that physical attraction there too.
Of course.
I
But
love them to death, but I not like that.
So don't say there's not good men. They just say there's men you have that you aren't attracted to
Yes.
that happen to be good men as well.
Thank you for yes.
My answer to the question, I think that women have this habit of trying to, because women are nurturers, right? And I think they have this habit of trying to fix men. And when women see red flags, sometimes if they're really blinded by love, instead of saying, "Oh, I see the red flag, I'm going to go the other way," they'll look at the root cause. Oh, when he was a child, he went through this, or like, just that the habit of trying to like fix men or trying to understand men who are hurting you. I think that's one of the things that women have like an issue.
Well, that goes in. It's like women will like a project because they feel like if they pour into that person and build them up, that person will feel beholden to them and appreciative of things they've done. But that's not always the case. A lot
That
of
sounds
dudes,
like manipulation, Dame.
Yeah, I don't think that's the reason. I think it's like genuinely just being in love and caring for someone. I don't think they do it for, oh, if I do this for him, then I'll have control over him. Like I don't.
What I don't mean control over them, but they'll have an expectation that the person will be a lot more beholden to them than they would to anybody else. Because just think about it, when that person breaks up, they'll be like, "I did this for you, I did that. You didn't have nothing, and I built you up. You paid for this."
There are women like that, but I think for a lot of women, it's just genuine. Yeah.
I'm telling you, okay.
As a
It's
woman.
definitely both, because there are definitely some people who are going to do something for you, man or woman,
Right.
and they're doing it to hold it over you. I did this for you, or you wouldn't have this if not for me. But if you think about it, women are nurturers. As mothers, naturally, we do things out of the care. Like we do try to be very understanding of someone's situation, especially nowadays when it's all about, oh, nobody really cares about men. Nobody wants to hear how a man feels. Nobody wants an emotional man. That's not how it is anymore. Now we're telling you, like, yes, like, open up to me. Like, let me know. Like, communication is everything. or so we thought. And now it really comes down to comprehension is everything. You can communicate until you're blue in the face, but if someone doesn't understand where you're coming from, then it's for nothing. So I think that, yes, sometimes it is like, ooh, if I build him up, if I take care of him, if I look out for him, he will almost owe, love to me. But who really wants that? That's not genuine. That's not organic love, That's like out of debt.
People
But
make trade-offs when they get kind of desperate. Men, they say,
yes, out of
just same way.
desperation.
We can use your example of a woman saying, "I do all this for him," what have you, and then they'll accept that if they feel like this is as good as they can get, or as good as this is the way to get it. Just like men will accept a woman who's just with them for their money. They'll play games with their own mind. They'll trick their own mind to make them think this person has genuine desire and care for them, but they realize, no, this is a transactional relationship. Women do it just as much as men do it. Men, only thing that women get less, get more hate for doing it than men do, unfortunately. Women, they get jumped on. If you get with a man and it's transaction saying, I'm going to hold him up and stuff like that, if you know that the intention is somewhere to make sure that this dude feels somewhat beholden or to you, women and men hate on that. But men, if you say like, hey, I'm a rich guy, I'm gonna get the 28-year-old chick with the big ass, nobody really gives a shit.
Right.
But Dame, just to your point, is that really nurturing, or is it just like
it can come from a good
kind of
place.
wrong with that person mentally or something? Because
I'm not a red pillar, so I know I was like, damn, I'm coming off kind of red pill. No, I am not. I'm saying I'm coming off as it can come from a genuine place of care and concern and desire to have something with this person. But there's also that as soon as it doesn't go there, a lot of people, men and women, are quick to start railing off everything they did for the person and why the person should appreciate him because they did for the thing, all this stuff for him. And it kind of make you think, if it was from a genuine place of love and concern, would you feel the need to rail off all the stuff you did for him?
okay.
So I have something I want to say to that. So I had my first relationship 2 years ago now. We broke up about 8 months ago. And I was really in love with the potential of him. So like I went through and like I wanted to help him improve because I saw the kind of person that he could be. And it was all out of love. It was very genuine. But then I had to stop and ask myself, well, like, am I in love with him or in love with the potential of him? So that's kind of the tricky part because, I never, whenever we broke up, I did not rattle off like all the stuff that I've done for him because like I learned a lot from him too. But like, I think whenever you rattle off stuff, that shows that you were in it for the wrong reasons and that you were manipulating them or trying to change them to have power over them instead of out of love. That's just my opinion.
I have a question, Ren, really
Yeah.
quick. When you say his potential, were you comparing him like against like where you are in your life or amongst the peers his age?
I think with my ideal man, because he was my first boyfriend, I had seen like bits and pieces of men throughout my life that I admired or like qualities that I admired. And I knew ultimately that he had them, but just not at that time. He was like a couple years younger than me. So like he still had a lot of growing to do, but yeah, I would just say I saw the kind of man that he could become, but the person that you're trying to change, which you should never try, obviously, like it failed. And I'm not going back to that. I don't want to date a project. They have to ultimately decide that for themselves of what kind of person they want to become.
So I mean, where was he like working? Was he just not doing it fast enough? Where was he working at, like Chili's or something? Or
No, it's not about him working. It's about the we worked at the same place, same restaurant, but it was about him as a person and his quality, about his anger, he had like short temper.
okay.
Just like me trying to be like, okay, well, like think about this rationally. Think like don't be so to where you want to go punch somebody right away. Actually talk it out, communicate, like trying to, I eventually felt like I was,
His mom.
like,
therapist.
yeah, therapist, or like
Therapist.
he was my younger brother. That's kind of how it
Oh, okay. I got you.
it got very tricky towards the end. So I learned, I'm very grateful for that relationship, but I am leaving it in the past, and I learned a lot. So
Shout out to you, Ren. Good
I think
decision.
Yeah, that's a great decision.
I've been in the same situation. This is my third real relationship, and I think when we say potential, a lot of us, we mean emotionally.
yes,
We don't mean like do they make enough money? Do they have a house? Do they have a car?
Exactly.
At least for me,
Emotional intelligence.
when I say
Yeah.
potential,
That's when y'all are
it's
younger. When you get a little
emotionally.
older, it's going to be like, are they
Potential
finding
mean getting
at
to that
you?
bread.
Yeah. So it evolves. You just got to give it some time. Keep waking up.
I think while we're talking about potential, it's really important to point out that that's fake. The potential that you see in someone is not what you really see in them. It's what you would do in their position.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I had to learn.
yeah.
Talk that shit
I
for
like that. Yep, I like that. I really like that.
What were you saying, Claudia?
Oh no, just that. But
That she had a
when you
relationship
said
like that.
get older,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But I don't know. It's like a very tough conversation. I feel like one things I get frustrated with social media is in relationships and men and women bickering at each other. Is the greed. I feel like women have become so like money hungry from a man. Like usually, like that's what I see a lot. And I've met certain women in my life recently with that mentality. And I think it's like poisonous. I feel like a lot of people try to like put their own opinions. I went through it. So like I currently went through it in the sense that as I'm watching all these TikToks, Instagram posts, I'm consuming all this media, and I start questioning myself. I'm like, am I doing this right? Should I be doing this?
Yeah.
And it's suffocating. So I think making your own experience, that's the only way you're gonna learn. So yeah, I think it's just a tough times right now for our generation. Especially our younger generation.
I want to go back to because I can't let Manic get away with this.
Yeah. Good job, Will.
Yeah, I want to go back.
Put him on the fire online.
I want to go back to what Manic said. That Manic said that the reason why men have sex with women that they don't see a future with is because of validation, male validation. Is that what you said, right, Manic?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be on the record.
I'll let you go, Jerk. I know, Jerk, you disagreed, and Damien, and I'll go last. But Jerk, do you disagree with that?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's definitely guys, they want the arm candy to show off for their boys and stuff. But I think most guys, I think men and women are just drawn to each other regardless,
Yeah.
So I think you see like a pretty chick, you could be damn near by yourself. You ain't worried about what the hell your friends think. You're like, damn, okay, she looking right. So I'm gonna go talk to her. So little segment, maybe there's some male validation, but for the most part, man, men are just drawn to attractive women, and vice versa. I think we're just made to be together, so that like dynamic is never going to change.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Damien.
Dark Relief kind of he says it in the chat. It's the biological imperative of just to procreate and just be with women, spread our seed and stuff like that. I think we're just built to do that, because to push back on Manic's point, if you're a dude who's smashing a bunch of ones and twos, you're not going to get any kind of validation from any men. You're going to be looked down upon, actually. If you're guys who are like, damn, why you all you get is one-legged chicks with one tooth in the mouth. Dudes ain't gonna be like, but you get 20 of them. Dudes aren't gonna be like, dang, you the dude. They're gonna be like, dude, what is wrong with you? They're gonna look down at you. So just the fact that you're having it isn't the validation. What it is the validation comes with the quality of women that you get to sleep with, or the frequency, the ease with which you have access to women that other men find desirable.
Yeah.
You know, so validation is a byproduct of the biological imperative.
Damien, I wanna look down on them. I'll be like, damn, bro, you're doing God's work. Everybody needs love. It's not gonna come from me, but appreciate
All right.
it.
Did you go already, Will, or
No, so this is this is the reason. This is my response, and I disagree, but from a biological standpoint, the reason why most men will sleep with a woman that they don't see a future with, and I'm talking about the average guy's experience, and I think what a lot of women don't understand is the male experience when it comes to sex. The reason why most men have sex with any woman, regardless if he sees a future with her or not, because it's hard to get sex in general. A lot of women don't realize that for most guys, it's hard to get sex. Now, for the top 20% of guys, the guys are very attractive. It's easy for them to get sex, but we're talking about the average dude, the average Joe, like 80% of men. Most men who most women find unattractive, these guys is extremely hard to get sex. So when the opportunity comes, just from a biological standpoint, they're going to take it. They're going to take it.
So I heard something once about that. One of the reasons I said that men are the ones that should, if they made the rules, then freaking take accountability and change the rules again and make them right. One of the reasons I said that is because I heard once that this is going to be a little controversial. I hope nobody gets offended, but
it's okay to offend people here. Go ahead.
I heard someone said at an interview that men normally tend to turn gay mostly because there's more opportunities to have sex. And women turn lesbians.
No.
This is great,
but let her get her thought out.
And I was
want to see you the end.
Wow.
Honestly, that kind of makes
cracks the
sense.
code.
Can you repeat the end, the women part? I heard you say the men part, but what was it?
So, men are most likely to become gay because they have more opportunities to have sex, and women are most likely to become lesbians because they are looking for more emotional connections.
That makes a lot of sense, honestly.
When I heard that, I was like, damn.
Honestly, when she first said it, I was
and
like,
I connected all the dots because I was like, well, most of the times when you meet people in the community of LGBTQ and stuff like that, they're very sexually expressive and very liberated. And it makes sense how they like each other because that's just what they want, I guess, if that makes sense.
There's a lot of guys in the closet. So like when she first said it, I was like, what the heck? No. But when I started really thinking about it.
But those guys are gay. They don't turn.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's guys who are straight
they're most likely to become it because they have more a range of options.
That means they're gay.
Yeah. They're gay. They're just there's some kind of drawback. There's some kind of backlash if they come out as gay, whether it's religious or
within their self. They might not want to be.
Reputation.
The reputation gets.
There's guys who are straight presenting who date women or whatever, but they'll in desperate times they'll get head or whatever from anybody.
No, they're gay. They're gay guys.
That's what she said. She said they become gay because of that, because they're not getting sex. Like, I don't think everyone's
No. They're not gay because they're not getting sex. They're gay because they're attracted to men, and they're hiding the fact they're attracted to men because they're afraid of the backlash.
There's situations like because look, if you're saying men will smash women that they're not attracted to, it's the same thing as you're still smashing someone you're not attracted to.
No, it's
no. That's two different lanes. You trying to merge it?
No.
I can hear that. I can see that.
But to go back to my point, and I'll let Manic respond. The reason why most guys who take the opportunity, because most guys most guys, it's hard for most guys to get sex,
Exactly.
especially the unattractive men. Now, the top 20% men, I'm going to respond to what Rose said. In your early opening statement, you said the reason why you blame it on the men because most men have the most opportunities to have sex. But I think you're referring to the top 20% of attractive men. The average guy struggles to get sex. Do you know? I'm a nerd when it comes to biological data. Throughout history, only about 50% of men reproduce in history.
Yeah. I
Right, so
didn't. I didn't say it was
there's a whole
men's
population
fault.
of men
Oh,
who
go
don't
ahead.
get sex.
Sorry.
I'm just saying is there's a whole population of men don't get sex, and the reason why I don't understand you guys understand that because you guys are the gatekeepers, so you only see the men who you're attracted to, and you filter out the attractive ones. But you don't see the majority of men who are unattractive, and those guys don't get sex. So when the opportunity comes, it's not even about standards. They'll just take it. But now the guys who have options, they can have sex if they want to, but they're gonna put standards on the woman that they want to wife up for long term. But they're usually not gonna have standards for the women that they don't want to have a future with. They're just gonna do it, just to have sex. But for the woman they want long term, they're gonna put higher standards, and that's why it still goes back to you. If you want to influence the dating culture, you as a woman are gonna have high standards to be seen as a man to be the type of woman that he wants to wife up. But if you're giving that box away, and you choose to do that, and you choose to engage in the hookup culture, that's why a lot of guys will use you, and then they won't commit to you for long term. But I'll pass it to you, Matic. I know you want that was just my pushback against you. I do agree maybe it's into some validation there, but I think for the average experience, getting sex it's hard in general for most guys, and I think those guys are just gonna take it when they can get it. But I know if you're a good-looking dude, if you have something going on with your life, you have ambition, you're attractive to most women, then you can be more, you can have higher standards for yourself as a guy. But man, go ahead.
Yeah, I would say I like to, when I analyze things, I like to look at the outliers and then on both sides of the spectrum, and then break it down and look at everything in between. So if we go to like the top 1% guy who's got all the money in the world and doesn't even have time for a real relationship and can't connect emotionally or anything like that, his type is going to be like a trophy wife. Like he's going to get a woman who's just eye candy, arm candy. What is that for? That's for male validation. There's internal validation that he gets to walk around and say, that's my wife right there whenever they walk into a room. For his ego, for his for his ego and appearances. And then when other men around, they get to see, oh, dang, he has her. That's his wife. Wow. So it's like there's internal male validation and external validation. You get them both from that scenario or situation. So let's look at it from the perspective on somebody on the opposite end, struggling out there. Let's say they get like a woman who's not attractive at all, like by anybody's standards, but they're looking at it like, you know what? She's peaceful for me. She does well by me, and I'm getting, pleased sexually, and this works. I don't have many options. I'm just going to accept where my fate is. I'm accept where I'm landing right now. That's also validation. And, it comes with the internal.
You're stretching that validation shit.
Yeah. I mean, we act like there's no Pookies and Ray Rays. We act like there's not dudes who will smash anything. There are dudes that are out there like that. There's plenty of them. And I would even go as far as to say, like, to Will's point, like the men that aren't getting it like that, if the opportunity presents itself, they'll go for it.
Okay.
Do you think, Matic, it's about valid? I mean, I do understand your point, but do you think it's about validation, or you're just taking the best? Because men, we want to find the most beautiful woman that we can get, right? So if you're a very attractive guy and then you have a lot of options, most guys would just pick the most attractive woman that he can get. If you have an option,
if you have the option, absolutely, you're going to go for the most attractive. But life is a lot more complex than just finding the most attractive woman to like be with or to get some from. So guys are going to do what's in alignment with the lifestyle that they've established or want to establish for themselves in their life. If somebody is ambitious and they got like goals and stuff like that, they're not going to entertain women despite how beautiful they are. Like a perfect 10.
That's not true. They will
That's
have
100%.
and just not have a relationship with them. Just to have
no,
sex.
we won't.
The top, they will.
No,
They're not just gonna
men,
only mess with a woman that they would marry. They will take a woman that's very attractive that they have no interest in marrying and have sex with them for the night. They
no,
do.
no.
Oh yeah,
I'm
they
telling
do.
you, as men, no,
The
not
ones
all
that I
men.
know.
Yeah.
Well,
They
I
will.
mean, you got to change your circle. You got to go to a circle where people they're not just
But we're not
ambitious, but
talking
they're,
about men in our circle. We're talking about men in general.
Exactly.
yeah, men in general. Like y'all have never been with an ambitious man, or y'all don't know any ambitious men that have turned down women because it's just not their type. And it might
It's
be a
rare,
beautiful
bro.
woman.
We know
It is
them, but
rare.
it's not
Very rare. I know
common.
some, but it's rare.
I know men that respect themselves and they really do turn them down, but they still somewhat entertain it because they
They'll
looking
turn
for
them down as far
that.
as
Are
marriage.
you
They'll-
handsome? You're
Yeah, there's always some
Yeah,
exception.
yeah, yeah.
yes. Oh my gosh,
We
I
had
love
this
when they
one
say
homie
those things
named
to
named
me.
I'm not gonna name his name starts with a T. We used to all go out, and he used to let women. He said his whole philosophy is that I never approach women. I only date women that approach me. So he would have women that he wasn't necessarily physically attracted to, but he knew that they would lay the whole world out for him because he was a handsome guy. So his philosophy was, I could either work for a woman that's as attractive as me, and then I have to put in work and I have to be a good guy and, and have all these good qualities, or I could just have hard abs and let the woman that I'm her dream guy just give me everything she's got and just receive. And some dudes are really like that. When you see you see it a lot in the poor communities where you see the guy that's good looking and he with you like, well, why is he with that chick? Because she's doing so much for him. And he's just made it easy. Men have lost the desire to be the leader and lead and progress. A lot of men have. So they will accept being taken care of, mothered and taken care of and spoiled just because they got nice abs. It's a lot more of those dudes that are creeping up every day, that are popping up every day, that I look good. You should be taking care of me instead of the other way around.
Well,
But
just
Damien,
to back off Manning's
say,
position. Hold on, let me just because I do see what he's saying, because Manning's in my circle. So we roll with guys that do have that discipline and stuff, like ambitious dudes. But I think you might be a little biased, Manning, because that's how we somewhat operate. But that's definitely a small portion,
Yeah.
It's small.
They'll turn her down for marriage, but they won't turn her down for sex.
It's 2:30 in the morning. They know that she will answer that phone.
But to Dame, to your point, the guy who said he only dates women who are, have that strong desire for him, isn't that every relationship to some degree?
No.
Because it's on a spectrum.
No, a lot of dudes want to get their ideal woman because it makes them feel good about working the things they do for them. They feel like, oh my God, she's not only I love looking at her, she's amazingly aesthetically, and we're gonna have beautiful kids. She's smart, she's funny, and all that kind of stuff. So everything I do for her, I'm more than willing to do everything and more I can for this woman because I'm physically attracted to her, and she's dope as well.
But that's not the woman you marry.
That's the woman you marry, the one that you're physically attracted to and you're happy with and you think is beautiful and all that kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. It's on a spectrum. You wouldn't marry just the woman who's the best looking or the best looking woman you've ever gotten. You don't marry that person. You marry the person that meets those needs. I mean, sometimes you do, but let's be real. I'm not gonna put you on the spot and make any comparisons. But
what are you gonna say? Hold up.
I'm
talking about my first wife and my second wife?
No, I'm not talking about them specifically. I'm just talking about the women you've dealt with in the past. This is, before you got married. It's like, we're just talking about your first wife because you're not with her no more. Was she the most attractive woman you have ever been with?
My wife now is the most attractive woman.
Smart answer.
That's a great answer. But
that's the truth. That's the truth now. That's the truth.
So then but did she have the desire for you?
Who? Which one? My first wife?
No, your second wife. Did she have the level of desire for you that you
all this stuff is 100% yes, because she approached me when we first met each other.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. It's on a spectrum. It's like she has to meet the physical metric for you to be attracted to her, plus she has to have that level of desire for you to allow her to continue to stay in your life. So that's why you married her, because she had two of those factors.
Well, hold on. She had both of those factors. My first wife had both of those too. She had desire for me and she was attractive, but there was other stuff there was some forever shit that I needed on where my values are set that we weren't aligned on. So it wasn't going to last. So it came down to where my value proposition was for long-term happiness. We just weren't in line.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to get too personal, but what I'm getting at is if you have a 10, right, you could marry the 8 if the 8 is treating you better. Like most men will marry the 8 that's treating them well versus the 10 that's just like, okay.
But they won't marry the 2 that's treating them better than the 10.
No, absolutely not. That's too far.
The range is 6 to 10. That's the
right. 6 is the lowest you'll go.
So that's the lowest.
6 is the lowest most guys will go.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
Rating and
so ladies, you have a chance.
Beauty, rating and the beauty and the attractiveness.
Did you just call us 6s?
You're the only one that got that. It was a joke.
I got it.
Oh no.
I'm very realistic. I rate myself a 7 based on men criteria that I've heard before. Obviously, internally, I am 100, but obviously, I'm trying to be realistic with the world outlook, with societal norms. I don't know. I'm a 7. I'll keep it at that. That's it.
But that's the thing, is like everything's subjective. Like, you know, I know for me, like for example, my sister, we have 2 very different opinions on attractiveness in guys. Her ex, I was like, really? Okay. But you know, he was the most attractive man to her. And I'm like, it's same for my ex. Like, it's you know, everything's subjective in the world of like attractiveness and beauty, but it comes down to substance. Like, what I know that like a lot of men, like you said, Damien, nowadays I feel like almost kind of expect the woman to approach them if they look good, if they take care of themselves, if they're physically fit, all that stuff. And they almost get like very cocky, at least in my experience, the guys that are here in Jacksonville, Florida. But you know, like I hope that there will be more men out there who actually pursue women, not just for the attractiveness, but for the quality too. But you know, it has to go both ways. Guys have to have that substance as well. And you know, they can look a 10 and then internally be a 10 as well, and that's okay. But you can also look like a 5 and be internally a 10. So
there's no such thing.
I want to focus on that topic because it's one of the subtopics I wanted to talk about tonight. We're talking about attraction, physical attraction, sexual attraction. I think that's normal. Can we all agree on this panel that, you know, we have to be to some degree, right?
Absolutely.
To be sexually attracted to your partner.
The first thing that you notice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right? It's normal. It's biological. You have to be attracted to your partner, right? But I think based on what I see on social media, I think, and I don't know if you guys look up the stats and statistics on this, but in general, I think for most men, they find most women attractive to some degree. I think for the average guy.
But they can find something attractive.
Yeah, something attractive, right? But I think on social media, especially with all these dating apps and what they've seen and when they look at the data, is that most women don't find most men attractive. And then what a lot of women is, they're unwilling to compromise on what they deem attractive in order to get the relationship they want. So I know all of us, we want to find our 10s, you know, out there. But at the end of the day, if you can attract that 10, then great. Not only the 10, but also has the values and morals and principles to build a strong relationship. But at the end of the day, if you want a long-term committed relationship, you got to go with the values, and then you can compromise on the attraction part, right?
I think there's something wrong with me because I've dated us three.
I think most women.
Let me just ask you guys this question. I want to get the answer from all you guys, because I think Ren said that I just want substance, and I've heard that from a lot of women. I want substance. I just want a good man. But then when you ask them direct questions of what they deem attractive, not attractive, a lot of them are unwilling to compromise on the traits of the men that they want. Now, the biggest one I see on social media, I want to ask you ladies this question. The biggest one on social media is that the man has to be 6 foot. He has to be 6 foot. So I want to ask you guys, ladies, I just want to ask you a genuine question. What height does a man have to have in order for you to pursue a relationship with? And if you have a number, that's fine. If you don't have a number, you can date all men, midgets, doesn't matter. So I just want to ask you guys the right
At least
question.
5'8". For
5'8"
me,
for you.
5'8", because I'm almost 5'6". I usually like to wear heels as long as he's taller than me. Sometimes I wear 5-6 inch heels. If he's okay being shorter than me at that point, that's all good. But yeah, at least 5'8", because I don't want to be staring down at you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just
I'm 5'2".
I like to fun. 5'2".
I like tall men because it gives like a sense of security.
Yeah.
But my ex was like 5'7". The father of my son's like 5'9". Like, I prefer taller, but it's just a preference. Everybody has preferences. There's nothing wrong with having a preference. At the end of the day, if you treat me right and I'm attracted to you in some way, I don't give a fuck how. Can I say that? Sorry.
Yes, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't really. That's not what really matters. It's kind of like
So Fawn, your preferred height is 5.
it doesn't really matter. I do prefer taller, but it's easy to be taller than me. I'm 5'2".
Okay. What was the average height of your past relationships?
Average, probably 5'10".
Okay, it's almost damn near 6 foot. Okay.
I mean,
all right.
Average.
Yeah.
I've dated men, women, black, white, Asian. It doesn't.
Okay. All right. So far, okay. I'll pass it to you, Rose. Rose, what's the height that the man has to have in order for you to pursue a relationship with him?
Honestly,
Don't let him change your mind. Say what it is.
No,
Don't
I'm
feel
gonna
any
say
kind of
the
way.
truth. That's why I'm trying to collect my thoughts and be and try to deliver something that doesn't offend.
Don't be PC. Just
I think that as
What's the
long
number?
as he's taller than me, I don't mind.
PC.
But if it's 6+ feet, that would be like, wow, what a plus.
Rose, how tall are you?
Cha-ching.
How tall are you, Rose?
What was that?
How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
Have you ever dated a guy that was 5'3"?
No, never. No, wait, I did. The father of my daughter, and I ultimately left him because people keep telling us that we look like siblings.
That's wrong.
Weird.
You left him because other people said he was too short.
You left other people.
I don't know if it was the height. It was maybe we did kind of look alike, but that kind of
Rose.
eventually kind of like
somebody else tell you.
Hey, I hope your fiance is listening. Hopefully somebody don't tell him something about him. No, you leave him.
All right, I'll pass it to you, Honey Dread. Honey Dread, what's the height that the guy that you're gonna go long term? He has to be this height.
He has to be at least 6 foot.
6 foot.
Yeah, if you're shorter than 6 foot, sorry, I'm not. You're like, I'm looking past you. I can't do it. I can't take guys seriously. And I'm sorry, I sound like an asshole saying that, but I mean, for me, I'm 100% honest. I don't care. I've been called an asshole for that, but that's my preference because I mean, one, I'm Polynesian, and if you know Polynesian women, we're very how do I say this? I don't know, like I have to feel secure with you. Like if I feel like I could beat your ass, like I'm not gonna be able to take you serious. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be taller than me, you gotta be stronger than me. Like, bro, if I could snatch something out of your hands, like I can't take you serious.
Hold it over his head and be like, gotta jump to get it.
Huh?
I said, you don't want to have to hold something over his head. We got to jump to get it from you.
No, I'm not. No, bro. Like I'm a bro zone you. I'm sorry. If you're under 6 foot, I'm gonna bro zone you. Like that's just my preference because it's feeling safe and like feeling like I gotta be able to go out in public and be like, oh, you better shut the hell up because my man beat your ass. Like I better be able to go out in public and say that shit with confidence.
I definitely get that. That was what I was saying.
If I can't go out in public and say that
but
if I
not
can't go out in public
everybody's
and say that
short
with confidence, I can't do it. Like that's
my ex was
that's
like
a deal breaker.
5'7", and he had arms like, ooh, I don't even want to give him no compliment, but we were out in public when someone tried me, and he really like handled that shit. Like like nothing. And from that point on, I was like, okay, height don't matter, fuck it, because I wasn't attracted to him originally, and not just because he was like super short, but he just wasn't. He had like a big nose, and he didn't have like eyes. Like I like a really nice smile and eyes. So facial features are a thing for me. But I overlooked all of that and gave him 3 years any motherfucking way. Because yes, he gave me that safety feeling and humor and all of the other great things. But
Yeah, Honey Dreads, how tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Oh, so about my height. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I say five.
Yeah.
I say like I like 5'8", but usually like 5'10" is the more comfortable, like where head hits the chest kind of thing. Like Fawn said, it's a security thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, being 5'7", I feel like 6 foot is like pushing it. Like, I mean, like I'm. Sorry, again, sounding like an asshole, but yeah, like on like with the average guys, that I've dated, they're like between 6'3", 6'6".
Okay. All right. I'll pass it to you, Claudia. Claudia, what's the height that you have to be this tall in order for you to be attracted long term?
I've dated someone my height, someone really taller than me. Currently, my boyfriend, I think he's 5'7". I think I'm 5'1". I don't think I've ever really cared, if I'm being completely honest. I'm more of a facial feature kind of person. And yeah, I mean, he makes me feel pretty secure and safe. So, I mean, I don't think height matters for me.
And then Zari, same question.
Yeah, so I'm 5'4", and I honestly never have really looked at a guy like, oh, is he tall enough or he's too tall? Like, I don't think that my attraction is really based on height, honestly. But if I did look at height, I think anything over 6 feet is too tall for me because it becomes awkward. Like, if I really think about it, I think
Hurts
the
my neck.
ideal height is kind of like she said, like my head lays on your chest when I'm standing up or something. Like, I don't want my head to be at your belly button. Like, that's weird to me.
That's shocking. Zuri, you give off tall woman energy. You give off a woman that's at least 5'7", 5'8".
That's what I always say. I
I'm shocked when you said that.
I feel like I'm 5'7", but I'm not. I'm 5'4". But I literally say that all the time. That's crazy. That
you give off tall woman energy.
That's wild. I literally say that all the time.
That's
I was
funny,
meant to be
tall woman
5'7",
energy.
like for real. But yeah, I do. I think that women are more likely to grow attracted to a man within a relationship than men are. Like, I think we can get with someone, and the more we get to know them, they seem more physically attractive to us. At least for me and other women that I know. But
most of the women around me are the complete opposite. The height, it's such a big deal breaker. It's insane.
Wait, what about the guys? Like when it comes to women, like have you guys dated women either your height or taller than you?
I dated I'm 6'1". I dated a 6 foot woman once, and it was weird. Yeah, this Cuban woman that was 6 foot tall. And
why was it weird for you?
Because she would wear heels, and I've never had a woman that I've been on a date with been taller than me. It was just a weird thing to happen. It was just like, and yeah, it was just like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't something I could probably see myself doing consistently or whatever, but it was just weird. I didn't feel insecure or anything like that, but it was just like, I felt like the optics was just off. I was just like, this look weird.
The optics were
But there's a picture of us at a party where we're standing next to each other, and she's taller than me, and I'm just like, I was like, this is crazy.
I mean, I also think women are not usually tall on average.
Yeah.
5'7", I think.
You mostly dated women shorter than you.
Yeah, always.
Jerk, have you dated any tall women?
No, everybody been shorter than me. I'm 5'10", so like they said, like never had anybody over that, but everybody been like shorter. So yeah, I never had that experience.
Okay, what about you, Manic?
Yeah, I've dated women taller than me. I'm actually short. I'm 5'7", so the tallest woman I've
Is that
Average
short?
height, brother. You're average height, brother.
Yeah,
You're
that's not short.
Nah, that's short. Don't be playing him.
Nah, it's average height.
The average
Girl,
height is like
no.
average height
I mean,
is 5'9".
that's taller
Average
than
height for a
me,
man
so
Is
is
it?
5'9" in the
valid.
US. Yeah.
I thought it was 5'7".
Short.
Okay.
5'8", 5'8" for
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure. I own that. So yeah, in the US I'm short. In some other countries I'm tall. But no, it just depends on your nationality. And I think Honey Dredge, you said you're Polynesian. Like a lot of Polynesian men are pretty tall. So, you know, that makes sense. That's what you see. That's what's been normalized for you. That's really just your perspective. Claudia, on the opposite end, you're Hispanic. You know, a lot of Hispanics are not the tallest. So there's
Especially
plenty of
not the Salvadorians.
yeah, there's plenty of Hispanic men who are like 5'3",
Very
and
short.
you know, they're married to women who are a little taller than them. But it's really all a matter of perspective. Height never bothered me. As far as like I said, the tallest has been like 6 foot. She's a volleyball player. And it was cool. I didn't have no problems with it. It's just like we walk around together and stuff like that. I'm confident. So
Did she ever pick you up?
nah, she never picked me up.
Like lay you on the bed and stuff?
But I will say though that the taller you are, it's you know, the body type has to be different. Like I don't think I would be attracted to a very tall woman who's not thin. Like, I mean, your body would have to be a little bit different. Versus if you were shorter, then this is like, I mean, there could be a little bit more weight on there. Just for like, you know, performance things.
I got a picture of y'all with the 6 foot woman. I found a picture.
Yeah, let me see.
The funny thing, a friend of mine thought this was my wife. She said, "Hey, I found this picture of your wife." I'm like, "This ain't my wife." This is me, and this was a long time ago. You can see how she's in heels. She's in like 3-4 inch
Hey,
heels.
you better not let your wife see this podcast.
No, she don't know that picture. This was when I was 24 years old or something like that. But yeah.
And then even after that, I dated a girl who was 5'8". Well, she said she was 5'8", but really she was 5'9". Women always like downplay their height when they're a little taller.
Oh well, I round up.
Really? That's new.
Yeah. To go back to the point. So what I was saying is, and look, I don't have a problem with women with their preferences. I think it's men have preferences
Absolutely.
and women. And then women have preferences when it comes to what we find attractive. But I also understand that we also got to be realistic of what we can attract, especially if you're looking for something long-term in relationships. So all of you ladies said, you know, your heights, you know, 5'7", 5'8", 6 foot, 6'3", 6'4". But the thing is, if you look at statistically, I think the average guy in America is 5'8". So I do see this trend online. You know, a lot of women are saying that they want a man that's tall, especially the 6 foot. I want a guy that's 6 foot. But the thing is, realistically, most men, unless you're dating the top 20% of men who have everything, especially when it comes to the physical attributes, realistically, you're gonna have to eventually go with the average guy, and the average guy is probably not gonna meet a lot of women's physical requirements. So the conversation is: are you really willing to spend the rest of your life alone and unwilling to compromise on that one piece of height? For maybe a guy, maybe your preference is 5'7", but there's a guy that's 5'6", but he can. But he's a good man. Yeah. He's willing to give you. He has the morals and values and commitment and can treat you good. And I think for everybody, if you can attract your ideal person with everything, that's great. But most people are not going to find their ideal person, and you have to compromise to a certain degree. And I think for men, we're more willing to compromise. I think what the data shows that most men find 80% of women unattractive, but what it shows on for women, most women only find 5% of men attractive on most dating apps. They're unwilling to give 95% of men a shot. And my question is, I think a lot of the culture, a lot of the things that women have been influenced and been told of when it comes to what they find attractive, or when it comes to relationships, I think it's been perverted to the point that they believe that they have to get this man. So my question to you ladies is, I don't have a problem with your preferences, but are you willing to compromise to some degree? If you happen to find a good guy that has everything, maybe he's just a little bit 2 inches or an inch shorter than your expectation, are you really willing to let that man go away when that opportunity presented itself? Are you willing to go back out there and take a chance when you all understand it's really hard to find good men in general? good men.
I tried. At some point before my partner, there was this guy who was a gentleman, and he was very respectful, and he had a great job, and he was great economically, and he was ready to like live it all and like compromise everything for me, and he was sweet and everything was amazing, but he just, I don't like that he was just too close to me. I don't know. I want to look up to you and be like, yes, protect me.
And it's
I
not
don't
hard
know how
to
to
find a man
explain
that's
it.
smaller than you.
I don't know how to
I don't know
explain
why.
it, but in
Okay,
words.
can
but
I
it
ask the
was
ladies this
more
question?
like
Can I
a
ask you guys this question, ladies?
spirit.
The criticism what the men are saying, the women didn't have this in the past. Like the women married the average guy that had average height in the past. The idea that a man had to be 6 foot or close to 6 foot, that's a modern thing. That's a modern trend
I
expectation.
think
So
it's stupid.
Obviously.
what changed? Like how do we go from most women back in the day just accepting the average guy as because most women are shorter than the average. I think the average height for a woman is 5'6". The average height of the guy is like 5'8". So most guys that you're gonna come into is gonna be taller than you. So
Can I
back in the
answer
day, you
that?
just took the guy that was taller than you, but now he has to have a specific height, which is a different mind shift compared to the past. So what changed from the women in the past to today that he
Can I
has to be
answer
this height?
that? I think that honestly, are we looking at the numbers of what women say they're attracted to? Or are we looking at the men who are actually getting married? Because people be capping for the internet or just saying what they would want. But I don't think that men who are 5'8" or whatever are getting married less. Like I think on the internet, people are a lot more picky than they are in real life. Like on the internet, women are like, oh, I wouldn't date a broke man, but broke men are still getting women. Like I
Exactly.
genuinely
That's a
don't
good
believe
point.
that it's changed. I think it's
Yeah.
like internet cap, like
Yeah,
for real.
there's a lot of
Yeah.
shit that's aspirational. They think, okay, my aspirational
Exactly.
ideal person is
I'm
this,
gonna manifest this.
Yeah,
but the
but
men
they're not
have to
gonna.
have something of value that the women find attractive, whether it's like 5'8", you got money, you got abs, you're in shape, just like Fawn said, her dude had big arms. Some women find, okay, the security that they can provide as attractive, so they'll get rid of the height requirement because the height requirement is really like a security requirement. If it can provide security another way with finances or
Yeah,
physical
exactly.
structure, then
No,
they're willing to go through that. But if it's just an average guy with something unremarkable, average height, average weight, it'll be a lot harder for him to get over that hump. Or if he's overweight, it'd be a lot harder for him to get over that hump of these are my expectations. And women, like I think a couple of you said, was like, I dated a guy I wasn't even attracted to. It's usually that comes a lot of times like, you know what? I'm getting tired of this bullshit. Let me give this a try. It's
Yeah.
either they get fatigued with dating or the way they've been treated or stuff like that. So they say, let me try something different and then go to something I normally wouldn't try.
For me, I think. Well, I'm not going to speak for all women, but I think the
Let's finish
biggest
up.
thing is
Let me
chemistry.
finish this statement real quick.
Mhm.
It's just, but a lot of times they judge that man a lot harsher than they would somebody who was closer to their standards. They wouldn't be like, okay, you short and you don't know how to communicate and you don't have this and stuff like that. They get a lot more, they get picked apart a lot more than the guy who had the things they were attracted to from the start.
Of course, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Oh, but what I was saying was, I'm not going to speak for all women, but I think for me, it's usually chemistry, and that's why when people ask to describe like what's your ideal man physically look like, I don't think I have an ideal height, an ideal skin tone, an ideal features. It's like I can't pinpoint what makes a man attractive to me because I think it's chemistry, and I think that
like a vibe thing.
yeah, a vibe thing, and I'm
Just
sure it
feel
has
it.
something to do with how they look physically, but I can't pinpoint exactly what it is. And I also think that with women, you can grow physically attracted to a man. Like the more you look at him or the more you spend time with him.
True.
I don't know if it's the same for men, but yeah.
No.
So to answer Will's point
He
about
said
the
no.
6 foot thing, I think that is the stupidest thing, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I know people who are like, no, he has to be 6 foot or taller, and I'm just like, why?
You're on the panel with one right now.
Huh? What'd you say?
I said you're on the panel with one right now.
I am. I am,
Dreads.
but like I really think social media TV shows, even like the whole like dark romance books, all of that, they're always portrayed as 6 foot or taller guys. So that's like who women visually have in mind whenever they're like, yes, that's the kind of man that I want. That's why I have dated, well, gone on dates, not like dated, but like guys who were like an inch shorter than me. I didn't know that whenever I was talking with them, or they were like right at my height. I personally cannot date somebody who's right at my height or shorter than me. It's I just feel very uneven, and I'm just like, I've always grown up like, no, the guy has to be taller than me so I have some kind of security. Once again, like Fawn said. And but like as long as I can wear heels, that's my biggest thing. I like to wear tall heels, and the guy would have to be okay with being shorter than me at times. But I definitely prefer taller guys, who go above my heel height. So.
Hey,
For me, Manic kind of like mentioned like my culture. So I'm Polynesian, I'm Tongan, so like that's like a norm in my culture. Like the guys, they're usually taller.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've never dated outside of my culture either, so I'm used to like the bigger, muscular dudes.
No, look, it
no,
says here, somebody said in the comments, they think that 6 foot guys will be almost unbeatable if a situation arouse. And now that I think about it, it's actually, that kind of makes sense. That, when I said like, oh, looking up to you is security. And it's like, you're bigger, you can cover me if something happens. Like, it's more about the security part. Obviously, that's a little more ambiguous. There's a lot of other branches to security, but that physical aspect's kind of like,
yeah.
And there's something
The
even
height
deeper than
plays.
that.
What was that
The
again?
height plays into it. The height
Yeah,
plays into it. Like, I'm not saying like, oh, any guy that's 6 foot, like, can slide in my
Keeping the
DMs.
bloodlines strong,
Like,
for
no, I'm
sure.
not saying that. Like, I mean, of course, there's like a body type. Like, there's a body type preference in there. Like, again, with me, I mentioned it. Like, you gotta be stronger than me. You have to be physically stronger than me, because if I could beat your ass, I can't take you serious.
Yeah, if something happens,
let's go.
baby, this is what we're doing.
Can I
Okay,
ask you guys a question?
I got you. You gotta go run. Okay, baby, whatever you say.
Yeah.
It's like, it gives that vibe. Like, he got this. He knows what
And
he's doing. He
and
has
just
to
a,
be.
one thing that women really don't want short sons. They think that, like, seriously,
Never
if
thought
women,
of it.
I've never heard
seriously,
that.
I'm telling you,
What?
well, okay, because they want okay, and I'm gonna tell you why. And this is, and you're gonna hear my point. You're gonna say, oh yeah, maybe you're right. Is that everything that they feel like they want their children to have the most opportunity to have the best life and be looked at with the most reverence possible. Imagine if they said, okay, my son is 5'3". Do you feel like, would you feel bad and say, oh my God, the chances of him finding a wife kind of diminishes. The chances of him being picked on diminishes.
Oh,
No.
Okay, well, maybe it's an older woman thing. Maybe it's not a young woman thing, because I've heard this from
That is
many
ridiculous.
I've
women.
never heard that.
I've heard that a
Because
lot.
Really?
in my opinion, the right person will love you no matter what you look like, no matter what, as long as your core and values line
People-
up. Like, they just,
Yeah.
you physically will look past that person to a certain extent.
Yeah,
And so
but
like,
how-
I truly
Yeah.
believe 5'3" men will find their woman.
I
They
They
mean,
will.
will, but I mean, with his
I hear
bringing
it.
up like them getting clowned on.
than taller people.
You say what?
did you say?
It's harder
Rose?
for. What did you say, Rose?
Oh,
When he brought up, sorry,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Grace,
I
go
don't know who. There was a lot of overlap.
I think
Rose-
Rose was about to say something.
Okay, Rose and then Honey Grace.
Go ahead. No, Ren was talking. Honey said something. Then I wanted
Yeah,
to
we all
mention
were
something that Ren said. Okay, go ahead. Y'all
Okay.
continue.
Go ahead, Honey Dreads. Go ahead.
I see his point. Is it Damien?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see his point. Like, that's, to be honest, that's true. Like, I hear that a lot. I hear that a lot. Like with because I have my sister-in-law. She's like 5 foot nothing. I forgot how tall she is, but and then my brother's 6'5". Like, they have like 6 kids together. And she's always saying that, like, you know, she hopes the boys take after my brother on their height because she doesn't want them to get clowned on. Like the chances of like a guy being 5'3" and then somebody who's over 6 foot, who's gonna get clowned on more?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I ain't worried because
I
I'm
mean,
building up my son to be with confidence.
I would
Come on,
argue
let's
that
go.
I would argue that people like men who fit that physical attraction thing, like they're 6 foot, they're this and that. I would argue that they'll have a harder time finding true love because people are going after them for those surface level things. And I think people who are less attractive or who are shorter or whatever, when they find love,
No, that's
you
false.
know it's real.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
Nice try.
Yeah,
Hey.
I
it was
really
a nice
think
try. It was a stretch.
yeah. No, they're not gonna have a hard
But man,
time.
if you
Yeah, I was about to say something to Damien's point. I hear what Damien's saying. I have heard some women say, "Oh, I want to, you know, a man like super tall, like D1 babies and stuff like that." I've actually heard that, but it's actually pretty rare. It's not as common as you would see on the internet. Like on the internet, everybody's capping. It does happen, but I think that's more like a fetish. It's just like somebody's like, "Hey, I want a black boyfriend, or I want a white girlfriend," or it's just people that are just like
People are just really missing the most important part, and it's love. Like, I don't understand.
Well, love
It's
will
tough
conquer all
for
that stuff.
It's
Yeah.
tough for me in a sense. I'm a very introverted person. I don't have a lot of friends. But
we can tell. No, I'm just playing.
But
it's a joke.
I consider myself a very spiritual person. So like it's tough to be in the times we are now,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that, and I feel like a lot of people don't know what it is. They think they know. Obviously it takes time to learn it. I mean, I took time for me to learn it. I mean, I'm 30 years old and I'm still learning. But yeah, I think that's the most important part that I think people are lacking. It's just a choice you make, every day. But yeah, that's just my thought.
Yeah, I wanted to
because I do got a question.
go ahead,
Rose.
Damien. You first. You had a question.
No, I was just going to say, so great point, Claudia. And I think, Will, this is where you're kind of going to, because I saw somebody put a comment in there. It's like 14% of like the United States or whatever, men are over like 6 foot.
Yeah.
So when you narrow that down, and then, when you put on like the other preferences people have, like they got to be, financially stable, and plus them guys are going to have options, with other females, what are you looking at, like a 1 or 2% that you're going to come across that? So it is like, if you're static on those preferences, it's like, good luck.
1% of people in the US is still like 1 million people, isn't it? I'm just saying.
What was that?
How many people are in the US? Like a few 100 million. So
there's 300 million. It's like
about 300 million.
Yeah.
But I mean, them people are taking two. They might like yeah. So I mean, it's not as that number's not as big.
They may not be old enough.
Yeah.
It really does narrow it down.
And then I also wanted to say, like, me being a black woman who dates black men, that I think that percent is higher because most of the men I've come across are over 5'8". Like I've never,
because you don't see any of the guys that's shorter than you.
Exactly.
You don't see them. They're invisible.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's not that I don't see them. I think most guys are taller than me. Like,
no, I'm saying
most guys are, because you're 5'4".
Women, you only see the men that you're attracted to. You don't see the men that are unattractive, the shorter guy. You don't see those guys. That's why
I
you
see
think
ugly
all guys
people
are
all
tall.
the time. They're not invisible to me. What I'm saying is there genuinely aren't that many men who are short in my community, in my area. It's not.
What I'm saying is that statistically, it does show that most guys aren't that tall. There's only 15% of men are.
Yeah,
over 6
no,
foot.
I believe that in general in the whole U.S. I'm just saying it varies in communities, like someone was saying earlier. Like me in the black community where I live at, most of the guys are tall. Like just me not even looking at height. The people that I date they're always taller than me. The people I see are always taller than me. Like it's not. It's not very common for
You don't see all the
a
short
black
guys
man in
running
my
around every
area
day.
to be 5'5".
you
You don't
see
see the
'em.
short people working everyday jobs on the road, driving. You don't see those short people.
It's rare for them to be my height or shorter. A black man in my community.
Yeah, but she's talking about her height,
black
And she's
5'4".
5'4". She's 5'4".
Everybody.
Oh, okay.
See
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that's their
They don't
preference.
exist. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you do look more towards like, okay, well, because I know for me, I'm usually attracted to non-white guys. So like Latinos, Asian, darker skin, so it's like I look towards that and like the average height of that. And then like the white guys, I'm like, oh, he's short. So it's like you do filter in all of your preferences.
Right. So those percentages vary on what community you're dating in or what. That's what I mean. So just to say 14%, it's like it's a huge generalization. You know what I mean?
No, it's a stat. It's just
No,
based on height. Like that.
You guys are misunderstanding what I'm saying. It's a huge generalization. If 14% of all men in the whole US you're saying are whatever height, but if you're dating in a certain pool, that percent will vary. It's not going to be 14% for every woman because you're not even worried about the men that are.
Well, it's going to be lower because you're narrowing it down by like your
It's
preference.
not going to be lower.
So
It can
for
be
you,
higher
it's like
depending on who you're dating. For example, if you're dating like someone was saying earlier, Latino men tend to be shorter. If you're dating them, it's going to be even less men. The number's going to go down. If you're dating just black men, the number's going to go up. It's
So Zyrie,
no, that's how
more than 14%.
I know. I think I know what Zyrie's saying. Zyrie, are you saying that because of the circle in which that you spend most of your time with, most of the men are above a certain height, so you've kind of normalized that as your own personal average?
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
I'm
And
around
that's
on my daily basis. If I walk outside right now, the first guy I see is going to be 5'9", 5'10", 5'11".
Yeah. So Zyrie, you're right in your own personal circle, but what the jerk and what Will and what Damien is saying.
No, I get what they're saying completely.
Yeah, they're just saying like
talking
in
about
general, when you go outside your
Yeah.
circle, because I mean, we live in a society now where globalization has taken over. The reason why women feel the way they do about relationships and dating is because they have so many options. They have the guy from Indiana that's never left his couch, sending them DMs and, liking everything that they have, building their head up. So it's just like times have changed because there's way more access to women. And with that power, we see women can do like OnlyFans. That's a prime example of, globalization and, using that power to, for whatever, honestly, for bad.
Okay, let me just read the super chat real quick. Appreciate you, UK economist. Will made a good point. In the past, average people would partner together, but do you think many average women are trying to secure above average men, but they don't meet the criteria? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
For said men.
That's a good question.
100%.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the men's fault.
Okay.
It's the men's fault that the women don't meet the criteria.
That they can't get the man, because what's happening is that the above average man will sleep with the average woman. So she thinks, oh, that's where I should have my barometer for my attractiveness and what I can attain is because this above average man slept with me, then I can get that. That's what I can get. Not.
And realistically, that type of man will just take them for one reason, not really to marry them.
Right.
But Dame, that sounds like male validation. I'll throw that out there.
It's the biology.
Or
No, that's violence.
Or
That's
male
violence. Why they
gratification.
doing it? They doing it for the, like I said, you don't get validated for
not
dating
at all.
down.
Yeah, just taking
It
taking
could
advantage of the
be
options.
it could be gratification as well.
Yeah.
Male gratification. There you go.
Internal gratification, male validation. Same thing.
He's
Tomato,
stretching it.
tomato.
Tomato.
Hey, Jerk, did you have a question you wanted to ask, Jerk?
No, that's what I was just saying. Like, do you think like most people are probably like preferencing themselves out of the market?
Yeah.
Based on their criteria and stuff.
Yep.
I would say.
Do any of y'all have any issue with that? You think now that you're kind of hearing this, or
What do you mean?
is that a problem for you? Like where you have too many preferences, that's probably like keeping you at a. I'm saying find the guy that you kind of want or a good man.
So I think for me, I I say high standards because I know what I want in a man, like long term. But like whenever it comes to the physical aspect, like whatever race they are, height, yes, they have to be a a certain height, but whatever they look like, as long as we have the same values, like I feel like that's not that much to ask. But it's very, very hard for me to find a man like that here in my city, anyways. And I think to other people, other women I've talked to, I have too many standards, too high of criteria and stuff. But I know that eventually the right guy with all of my standards will find me.
Or
And
you will level set to what you can attain and change your standards to where you really are.
There are things I will or will not compromise.
Like, no.
I mean,
It's
I'm just saying,
delusional.
So
if you
you're
want to
saying
get
to
it
lower
faster,
my standards?
No, adjust.
no,
I
no,
don't
no,
think she
no.
has crazy standards though. She didn't say
Okay,
anything
this is the
insane.
thing, and I'm not sure if I'm talking for every woman here. If I'm wrong, correct me. But there is a mental list of very specific things that we don't let cross, and then the other things are open to interpretation. Like,
Right.
hey, let me stay long to see how good he
Yeah.
is. Let me see how he proves himself to be good with humility and stuff like that. Those are things that we are very attracted to. So there are some things, for example, Ren said that for her the height thing is a no. So you can come with your best A game that would bag anybody, you would still fail with Ren because you're at that height. You get it? Like, I
Yeah,
think
and
all of us
Unless you're an
women have our own
absolutely
mental list
amazing
that we
guy.
follow,
See,
and the
and
that's what I'm
idea
saying.
that
they're
but
open to
wait,
see what else is inside.
Can I
But
ask
If
can I ask a question
if
to the
they
older
pass
women?
that the first list.
I
but
want to
the
ask a question
idea that
to the older women real quick, if you don't mind me saying that. Who's above 30?
You said older women?
Who's above
I'm
30?
30.
I'm 30.
That's
Okay.
old.
that's above 30. You're 30 in
Yeah,
a day.
right? Like,
Clock.
I'm 25.
No,
You're above
I
30.
want to ask you guys. I want to ask you guys that if you guys don't mind, give me that genuine answer. I do understand the standards, right? I do understand I will never argue against the physical and the preferences, but I think I had a conversation with a woman, and I want to ask you guys this question. When you're young as a woman, that's when a lot of men find you the most attractive. You have the most preference to be able to get the most options as you want as a man. But as you get older as a woman, you have to reevaluate your standards if you still want to get a man. I was talking to an older woman on a different podcast. She was like, when I was younger, I had all these standards. But then when I realized that dating in my 30s and 40s is not the same as dating in my 20s, and my standards had to change in order if I wanted to eventually find a man to commit to. So a lot of you guys are dead set on your standard, which is okay. But at some point, if you're not gonna get that man right now, you can't. Your standards eventually experience as you get older. You will eventually have to adjust. If your outcome is one is a long-term partner in a committed relationship. So is it fair to say that as you get older as a woman, you eventually that your standards that you had in your 20s was completely different in your 30s, and then if you're 40, your standards when you're in your 40s is going to be different from when you're 30. Can you agree to that? Yes or no?
well, I find it a little complex because when it comes to physical attraction, obviously the younger women will always be like on the highlight, on the spotlight.
Yeah.
But I find it complex because there is most men that when they start meeting themselves within and they start having more discipline over themselves and stuff like that, they tend to go for older women because of their maturity, their the way they think, they're more centered and stuff like that. So I feel that men that really want to pursue younger women, it's either superficially or because the lady may be impressionable and they can manage to control the situation.
Use that
And
word.
another reason would be because of fertility. So I don't blame those men, but to each their own. But I do tend to see that, what you ask in general, obviously they would go for the youngest because they look more beautiful aesthetically. But when it comes to what I feel is a real man that knows what he wants and has his priorities set and he knows what to aim for, I know a man like that would look for what it is, a very centered and down to earth, like, hey, we're here in reality, help me do my taxes, let's do this together, let's get land together, let's do this. And a younger lady would not be in that spectrum of knowledge, not because she may not be educated, but maybe because she's not there yet. She still has a lot of party inside of her than to sit down and learn about all these things that are responsible for adulthood. But that's my take on it.
Okay.
Can I piggyback off that
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
Sure.
Sure.
I think another component that people miss when people do want to date younger is a lot of times I'm 44, so I'm up there in age. We're stuck in our ways. So, you know, a lot of people don't want to kind of deal with that because you do have a lot of, I'll say, like, me personally, I'll probably be difficult to deal with because, like, you know, we don't reach the peak of success at that age. So you're a little more protective of like your assets and stuff. So a lot of times, like, people are standoffish. They don't want to, you get with somebody like around my age, they're like, look, here's my standards. I'm not drifting from that. I am who I am. So I could kind of see why a lot of people that's like talking out here, they are saying like, hey, I don't want to deal with none of that type of stuff. You know, them people don't have no room to grow with them or anything because they're already there, you know, established.
I'm on the opposite end. So I usually like to date older. Like the most I would go is 15 years, which, like, I'm a 25-year-old. That says a lot of people are like, what? Are you crazy? But it's because, you know, like Rose said, a lot of guys my age, they're not looking long term. They aren't like mature enough to not mature. They aren't on the same maturity level as me. So like you have to go based off.
They don't want commitment.
Right. They don't want commitment. They just don't see life the way that women do at 25, in my experience. So, you know, it's just it does have to go based off maturity too. And I mean, don't date like teenagers if you're a grown ass man. That's not what I'm saying. But keep it legal. But like, you know, you do have to factor in maturity levels too.
Yeah, I mean, I met my man when I was 25, and he's 11 years older than me. And it's just the dating pool in my age range is just yucky. It did not fulfill my spirit. Let's put it like that.
You said something interesting, Rosa. You said that a man who figures out, got his shit together and figured out what he wants a woman that he can kind of like lean on for like advice and insight and stuff like that. But some guys who have their shit figured out, they want the most easiest situation as possible when they get home. So guys can actually figure it out. I want someone who's going to be a lot more agreeable, younger, not as many opinion. I can yeah, exactly. Or you know, and can always show me like they appreciate the stuff I've done. And sometimes it's just like but
yeah,
you know,
a lady that
my wife is 22
like
and I'm 49. I'm just joking.
So you want an impressionable lady that you can tell what to do, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm learning so much from you," and every little bare minimum thing that they do, they're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, good for you." That type of lady. That's
you don't want that, but you just don't want somebody to be like, if you're successful,
so low.
A lot of times a successful man doesn't want somebody else telling them what they need to do and what they should be doing. If they've already established themselves, I've done this, I've gotten a certain degree of success. The last one is somebody telling me how I need to do anything different, then that's got me where I need to go. So it can be a lot of times a dude just want the ease of having somebody just a little bit more agreeable. Just because I understand that don't mean I live that. My wife is only 5 years younger than me, and I'm 49, so she's 45. So
how agreeable someone is depends on their age, though.
Yes, yes.
In a sense, it's maturity.
Yes.
I think it's maturity more than age, because you can be young and have a lot of life inside of you, depending on your upbringing and your personal experience.
I truly think it's a personality thing because, like, I don't know, I
think that factors into it too. I don't think
a lot of get me wrong. The miles, it could be. It may not be the age. It can be the miles. I get it.
I think,
but I think it.
What do you mean by miles?
Yeah, what do you mean by miles, Danny? Can
I mean, just
can you please elaborate on the miles?
the life that you lived could have been a hard one where you had to like develop some really insights, and you've had to like fend for yourself. So you got some hardcore set in values and principles and stuff like that you won't be moved on. And that can happen to somebody younger. But generally, people who are younger, that's not the case. It's usually they have a mind that's malleable and they're free thinking. They don't have as much, they're not as jaded. Life hasn't hit them as
So
hard.
you mean more like impressionable?
But that too.
When
Well,
you say agreeable,
that.
I think of like less likely to argue or less.
It's
Yeah, agreeable.
Yeah,
Agreeable.
less
That's like an
likely
argue.
to hold you accountable for your mistakes.
But if you,
in my
if
experience,
you're successful, okay. Go ahead.
Real quick, let me just pass it to Fawn. Fawn, did you want to say something, Fawn?
I was just going to say that we're talking about something that wasn't even what was brought up. Somehow it got twisted because what you asked was the older women, do we have to basically kind of change or give up like our boundaries?
Do women have to adjust their standards as they get older? Is that a real thing?
I agree.
Is that a real thing or no?
Sorry,
can I say something?
Derailed it.
Go ahead, Fawn. Let Fawn.
Okay, so I will personally say that I think for the most part, even though I've had preferences like physical preferences or, you know, you got to at least have a job or whatever, those things haven't changed so much for me just because I've always given those things up if someone can woo me. But at the same time, because I have been through more and had more experience now this far in life, I would have more boundaries like, okay, so while I'm willing to overlook that you're not tall or that you're, you know, not built or that you have a round face instead of high cheekbones or whatever, I'm not willing to overlook certain things like how you talk to me, how you come at me. So while there are certain things that you will give up to be able to find the right person as you get older, there are also other things that you add on that you wouldn't have thought of before. So I think it kind of balances itself out, at least for me.
So Fawn, real quick, just do you think more or less like I agree with what you're saying? You're looking more at the like character aspect versus like the superficial type stuff.
Yeah, but I've always been that way. I've always had physical preferences, but I've also always given them up as long as that person I just feel that connection with.
Okay. Yeah, no. The only reason why I bring that up is because I think a lot of women, the younger women today, they're being convinced that that their standards, they're unwilling to change their standards. So I think what happens is a lot of women, they don't take advantage of their youthful years to be able to be the type of woman that men would commit to. So they kind of live their lifestyle however they want to live. And then once they get to 30 or 35, they're still pursuing the same qualities that they were trying to pursue in their 20s, and they're finding a really, really hard time. And because society or the women they see on social media has convinced them that they can't change they should always stick to what they deserve and their standards. And that's why a lot of women are saying like it's hard to date. And then when you talk to a lot of and I've been doing this podcast for a while, a lot of most of the women that come on the podcast, like they're just unwilling to compromise on a specific trait. Usually it's the height. Like even if their preference is 5'7", they wouldn't even, they say that I can't date a guy that's 5'6", even if he has everything else. The only thing he's missing is the 5'7". But I think for me is that being realistic? I don't think it's realistic.
No.
And I think
when it's something physical that doesn't matter, like height, I mean, well, I think you can find a tall guy. I don't think, me personally, I don't think it would be hard to find a tall guy. But I think that it's weird that when it's not something physical, men are kind of like in the beginning, we were saying, oh, if women had higher standards or if women said no to more things, men would become better. But then when women be like, oh, I'm not budging on my standards, then men get offended or be like, oh, you're going to have to lower your standards eventually. And it's kind of like weird and hypocritical because like we're what was that called? We're criticized for having high standards, but when we settle, we're also criticized for settling.
Yeah.
And I think that's like
but what standards matter? I feel like we need to prioritize what standards
and somebody
matter.
wrote in the chat,
so I
well,
think,
like, what are your standards or defined standards? And it's different for everybody.
Oh, what? Hello.
like Ren,
It is.
pass
It is
So,
very
so
true.
I'll pass it to Bottle
there
Fest.
needs to be a distinction in what is preference and what is standards. Standards
Yes.
is what Fawn was talking about. Communication. Someone who's stable. I would wager that someone who provides security, financial competency, like those things should be the standard. Now, when we're looking at height, that could be preference.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
And
somebody I
that's
don't
not at
have to
all what I
bend down
meant.
to. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and like, looks and like, well, do you like Thai food? Like that's not necessarily a standard, it's a preference. But like I know for me, like my values and morals, like we have to line up on that and how you treat me, because I've been treated like shit in the past. Just by even friends. And I'm just like, I know what I will and will not settle for. And I do like to say I feel like a 30-year-old, even though I'm 25, because I've lived a lot of life. And, my standards are higher than most 25-year-olds, but that's because I have lived life and I know what I deserve. So it is very personal for each person what your standard is. And you have to determine that for yourself. But like preference, it's whatever. It's just like the cherry on top,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So you
could I get a quick comment real quick? I don't think we was trying to shame anybody's, because everybody's allowed to their preference. So, the whole point of the discussion, because like even when we started off the whole talk and we came to the point where there's a lot of good guys out there. It's same thing for men. There's men that's out complaining about, oh, I can't find no good women. It's like bullshit. You're just focused on the superficial stuff, the exterior too much. But so that's why we're trying to bridge that gap. And like what Paulo said, it's just like you got to start separating them out, preference from standard, because a lot of the preferences, like what I was trying to get everybody to understand was like, you start looking at the stats on this stuff, is like 14%. It's across the whole United States, and that's not even counting for if those people are in a relationship already and all
Married,
that. So
married or
look,
married.
realistically, I just feel that women would go when women cannot rely on looks anymore, they rely on connection, on emotional connection. So that would be like, I don't think we actually, I do think that we mold our standards. We make them new, obviously, because now we are dealing with a difference in ourselves. But in order to pay attention to the emotional connection part, there should be some different boundaries that should be set in order to meet that goal.
I just want to touch on Jerk's point when you said about it goes both ways, where men are going out there saying there's no good women out there. I think the people who say there's no good of the opposite sex, I think it's coming from two different places. I think we're talking about women saying there's no good men because they don't meet a set of standards. I think the guys out there now who are saying there's no good women just view women as generally bad. There's a bias they have. They have a negative idea of what women of today are. So there's not even a set of standards that they've agreed upon that's kind of the baseline standards that they agree upon. They just think women bad. So that's why they're having a hard time finding good women, is because they have a bias and they have society is telling them that women are just bad.
And they've probably been
or vice versa
by some of them too. So like it really depends your view. And I know for me, like after my ex, I was like, all men are shit. That's the mentality I had. But then I'm like, no, like I looked at my circle, like Manic said, you look at your circle and I'm like, no, these are really great guys. I'm not attracted to them, but they do show me that there is hope out there and that there are good guys out there that I will be attracted to. They may not meet all my preferences, whatever, but they will meet my standards. So
just to clarify, there's just someone in the comments that have asked already twice what is my definition. Oh, this is my definition of a real man, right? My personal definition of a real man. I know, I say real man because that's how people communicate right now, but I just think that a real man to me is a man that has his ish together. You know, he knows where he's going in life. He set a goal to himself and he's going for it. And what he wants is what ultimately he gets because he puts the work in it, and he is responsible and self-disciplined, and also is in tune with his spirit. That's what for me is a real man. And yeah, you guys can continue just so that the person can relax.
Does he also have chest hair, Rose? Does he also have chest hair?
What was that again?
Chest hair. Did you have chest
Does he
hair?
also have chest hair?
Oh, chest hair.
The real man. Does he have chest hair?
There's
Is
nothing.
that
Oh,
part of it?
some do, some don't.
That's it. Look, I think what most people
shave
tend
now
to
and stuff.
Damn. Dying breed. I think what most people confuse a lot is that they look into the world and they have an engagement of what people are, in the sense of if you're someone who's decent or good, you should also be good in relationship. Whereas they don't acknowledge that it takes a whole entire different skill set to be in a relationship and to be in a functional and healthy relationship. This is why it's extremely difficult having conversation with single people, because they don't understand that when you're in a relationship, especially for men, there are some illogical things that you might have to do, and these things cater to the woman. And then the woman might have to concede and say, I need to think of this in a more sensible and rational way. Otherwise, I'm hindering his ability to function as a man and the man that I want him to be. So that's very difficult, because I know a lot of people talk about, men are logical, women are emotional, and they just don't see the relationship part of it. You're two people who come together with agreement of, I'm going to commit to you and you're going to commit to me, and we're going to figure this shit out for the entirety of our lives. There is no way out.
Yes.
And unfortunately people look at, if they don't do X, Y, and Z, I'm out, rather than saying, okay, we made a decision to be together. And if we're going to dedicate this time to each other, we might as well make it work for the entirety of our lives.
Okay. Let me just read a
it's
super
a
chat.
choice.
Let me just read a super chat real quick. The UK Economist asked, shout out to you. Thank you so much, the UK Economist. His super chat was, are you prepared to compete for your ideal man? So that's a question to the ladies. A lot of ladies, a lot of you guys are, saying that.
What do you mean by
in
compete?
real life? This isn't a game show.
Wait. That's a valid question.
Let him read get through the super chats first.
So let me explain his question, because all of you ladies have preferences and all of you ladies have standards of what you want out of the man. And I think Jerk brought it up. The more preferences or standards you put on the man, statistically, that's a rare man, right? So if you're going to compete, so we just take the height, for example. If you want a man to be 6 foot and up, that's only 14% of men. So we all understand that 99.9% of women all want the man that's 6 foot. So there's not enough of those men to go around for all women. No, especially if we're talking about a long-term committed relationship. Not only do he has to be 6 foot, but he also has to be a type of man that's committed, strong values, has the finances, the career to provide you a good life, a good quality life. That even shortens the dating pool. So if that's your ideal man, what are you going to bring to the table, or what are you going to do to separate yourself from all the women who want the same type of man? So that's his question. Are you willing to compete? And my question is, if you're willing to compete, what are you going to bring to the table that's going to separate you from all the women that we see in real life and also on social media? That's a question I want to ask the ladies.
So I'll go back to, I know at the beginning of this podcast, I was talking about women knowing your worth. It goes for the men too. But, women have to know their worth and what they do bring to the table and what they will bring into a relationship. And I feel like that's just fair for both parties, because it's a partnership, it's a relationship, and it's hopefully a lifelong one. So I know for me what I bring into a relationship, but I'm not going to be competing with other women, because either the man's going to value what I bring or not. I'm not going to force myself upon a man just because he matches my height, like preference. I don't have time for that because I'll find somebody who actually knows what I bring and doesn't expect me to like be at their beck and call and prove to them what I bring. Does that make sense?
No, I think you missed.
Did I misunderstand the question?
I think what it is I think what I think the reason now I understand all the faces of the women of the play, because you're thinking he's my man, I have to compete with other women to keep him as my man. Notice saying if he's standing in the corner and there's 10 Rens trying to get this man attention to show their value to him, what are you going to do that's going to make you stand out over 10 minutes to get to that point to where he is committed to you and only you? Not use your man and you have to compete. Now he's your man
no, that's
he's
what
fighting
I'm
off chicks left and right.
I know, like, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is me. Okay, BL17. It is midnight here in Florida, so I'm doing my best.
No, you're making sense. You're good.
No, I know what you're saying, and I know what I bring, and I'm like, I'm not gonna like not go up and talk to him and like be like, hey, so this is me, this is what I'm about. Either you take it or leave it. But you know, he has to choose, you know, like if he wants me for me or like anybody else. But I'm like, I'm not gonna be out here like lined up with all these people like The Bachelor. I don't think I could ever do that show because to me, I'm just like that. I'm like, why? Like,
if there's a man in the corner and there's a lot of women going after this man, I'm gonna sit in the bar by myself.
Me. I sit in the corner. I sit in the corner. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm like, yeah. So
no, look, I guess a man that has a lot of options. Let's say I would like to pursue a certain man and I find it, and the more closer I get, the more I realize he has more bachelorettes willing. At the moment I see that, I will take a step back and be like, okay, obviously all these women are available for him, and it's a possibility that all of them make themselves available. So I got to do something that distinguishes me from them. I will stop chasing him, will stop giving him that much attention, so that he kind of like wonders on it. Why has she not talked to me since all these other girls are behind my back? Like, what's going on? And he will be more interested. And then that quality time that he gives me, I will use it very responsibly and show him how I can be better by doing little things that can stay in his memories. Details, for example, obviously I'm gonna use a little example I do for my man. Currently, it doesn't matter if we are angry at each other. I always wake up at the same time he wakes up in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, and I make him coffee. And I wait for him by the door with his bag and his coffee. And I open the door for him, give him a kiss, and say, God bless you, drive safe. Either I'm angry at him or not, I do that all the time. If I don't do it, he got me for real that day. But we always talk about the next day. We try to not stay angry as much as possible because
Can I ask a question?
So yeah, I do believe that little things that give you that highlight over other people. It's not really the flashy things or the upstaging thing. It's more about the little things that you can find that they like based on what they do on a daily basis. He would wake up every morning and do all that stuff by himself. So I took up on that and I said, I'm going to do it for you. And now every time one time, it was probably last month, I asked him, because I was watching a TikTok video and I was like, what's something that I do for you that you really like? And he's like, now that I think about it, the highlight of my day really is that moment in the morning when you're giving me my coffee and I step out the door. And I was like, oh, that's nice, because I was doing it for that very reason, but I didn't really think it was gonna work. And the fact that he mentioned it was like, oh, okay, so it hasn't been in vain. And I'm actually doing it and it's working, and he feels appreciated. Yeah. So that's pretty much it.
Paulo, you had a question, Paulo?
you know, probably right after you told him that and you walked away, he was like, "Damn, she bought that shit." You know, no, I'm joking.
Yeah, the
Nah, that was a
question
good
was,
gesture, though. I think that was dope.
the question was, is there a negative connotation to when we say compete when it comes to attraction?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think that's why I misunderstood the question, because in my mind, compete, because I've seen it here, like, and in my friend circles and at work and different things, women were literally like throwing themselves at this one specific guy. And I'm just like, why? I'm like, what? So I would once again stand in the corner and be like, I'm not going to entertain that, because I'm like, I know what I bring and I know he's not going to value me.
Yeah, that's like high school energy. Like, girl,
Yeah.
come down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that, Ren. I'm not competitive, and whether I'm into you or not, you have to be into me too. And if you take the chance to get to know me, you probably will be. But if you don't, I'm not sweating it. I'm not bringing something to the table. I am the table, and that's it.
Oh,
Like,
I'm the table.
So what about the guys? What about y'all? Do y'all feel like, you know, you have to compete for a specific girl?
Yeah, that's the question.
I personally think, can you guys tell me about this? Because I'm actually very curious about that.
Let me just ask you this question. Let me just ask this question.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't know you.
Yeah. I want to ask the ladies real quick. Do you think men have to compete? You know, you said all of you guys said that you don't want to compete for the women. That's fine. You don't have to. But I want to ask you, ladies, do you think men are competing for women? Do you believe yes or no? For the women they want, the men for the women they want. Do you think men have to compete for the women they want?
I don't think they have to, but I think they do. And
okay, so they do. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Fawn? Do you think men are competing for the women they want?
I think that men are more competitive by nature, and I don't think that they have a problem with competing. I think it actually is maybe more valuable to them to have that win, you know, get that W. Like it means more to them. So I do think that they are not just more willing to compete, but happier to do so.
Okay. And then Rosa, do you think men are competing for the women they want?
Definitely. I think that's part of their personality. They love to show that they're the strongest in their circle. So yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to see what was your perspective of was it competing. So you guys agree that, and then Claudia, do you think men compete for the women they want?
Yes, but they don't have to. I mean, I don't know. I think they do. They definitely do. But I think it's more of like a nurture, like not a nurture. What's the word I'm looking? Natural thing for them. Like they do. But I don't think they have to. I don't think women have to.
It's like they're assertive over other males. They would like to be assertive over other males.
Proving
you gotta ask the guys.
Like whoever wins.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
Okay. Let me pass it to the fellas. Fellas, what do you think?
Do men compete? Men and women?
Of course. We've been competing since we had peach fuzz on our balls. Before we that's all we do is have to compete with other men to get the best woman we possibly can.
And then the best jobs and the best positions. So
I mean, we don't get me wrong, the men on this panel probably had a little bit more easier than some cats, but you know, it's men have to compete, absolutely.
But just to kind of tackle that, I definitely think men have to compete. And I do think women have to compete also. I just think it's a more indirect, you know, competition. Like you're not going after the guy and stuff, but you're definitely, you know, you're doing certain things to separate yourself from others. Like y'all hitting the gym, got your hair done, you know, wear classy clothes and stuff like that. So I think that's I think
the word competing just doesn't fit that what you just said.
Why?
Because your preferences are push you into a competition. That's the issue.
Let me get my thoughts. Can you repeat what you just said?
I said, what would you call it other than competition?
I don't know. I don't
Queen of
know. I
Spades.
just feel like it sounds wrong. It
I
sounds too
feel like
negative.
I mean,
It sounds too negative.
here's a
It's like
better word that maybe.
it's like I know when you say it, it makes me feel like, okay, if I'm talking to this guy, I know that he's talking to other women, but I wouldn't talk to a guy that's talking to other women. So I don't. When you say compete, it's like in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, so he's talking to other women, so now I have to do this and this and this to show up better than the rest, right? But I wouldn't be talking to a guy that's talking to other women at the same time as
But how would you?
So I think the word
Hold on.
compete
talking to
Let
other
me
women
kind of throws me off.
Let me throw you a life raft. Would you say the word awareness fits better than competition?
Yeah.
Man, this ain't Sesame Street. It's competition.
I was gonna say. Look, the fact that you know, the fact that you know, women wear their hair a certain way, they dress a certain way, they get perfume, you know, certain perfume. It you'd like to say it's self-love, but there's a subconscious understanding that this makes you a little bit more attractive than the next woman to you, right? It's not the direct, you know, oh, you're going after my man, I'm going to go after you. It's, we put ourselves in the best position in order to win the people that we want to attract. Men do it too. The fact that you got gentlemen up here who look a certain way and dress a certain way and speak a certain way means that we're competing to some degree in terms of how we're perceived, right? And to your ladies, you wouldn't come up here and just, you know, throw your hands in the air and speak so freely. You retain certain things and you share certain information because there's a perception there, and a part of that plays to attraction. So it's not so much that, you know, we're going to scratch each other's eyeballs because you're talking to my man or whatever, but we compete to some degree. And I think it's positive in the sense of you want to optimize your future and the outcome that you want. You wouldn't want to just, you know, oh, as long as he agrees with me and our standard aligns. You want someone that you can look at and go, damn, that's the best that I can do at the possible time, and I'm fine with that decision. And that's fine to say.
And we
that.
also set we also set our own standards. So like, people dress how they want to dress. I mean, yes, some people dress to impress others, but that's not always the case, and you will attract depending your personality,
dress the way you want to
and
be
how you are, how
dressed.
you present yourself, how you
So the fact that you're
yourself,
aware of
etc.
that, so the fact that you're aware of that means that you have you can rationalize how people compete, right? You don't just dress a certain way. You reserve yourself to a particular type of code or standards that you want to be perceived as. Being aware of that means that to a degree you are competing.
That's why I kind of said indirect, because like I said, it's like y'all not gonna go out there and do like shady stuff, but like what Paula was saying, and I think our preferences push us in a position where men and women, you know, the more preferences you got, the more you're gonna be competing for that when it becomes rare, you know, because of the numbers don't lie. So I think that's what causes people to somewhat compete.
Well, this is the thing with women. I don't think most of us compete really, because it's really sex for us is a little more easy to get than y'all. So
But I think
we
that
don't
women
really
do
have to fake
compete.
it much.
Some
What was
women
that?
do compete. If you look at
Yeah,
things
we
that
do
they're doing, they're
compete,
definitely
obviously,
competing.
but
However,
generally, when women are, let's say, most women are average looking and and attractive, those women are generally approached very often, so they don't have to chase the men. They just come by themselves. Now, when we're talking about ladies that look up below average, those kind of ladies have to do more and entertain more in other ways to be able to get the attention from that other girl that is hotter and
yeah,
has
yeah. I
other
was going to
things
say,
to
I think that
offer.
some women are definitely competing. However, I think that most of the women here will probably know what I'm saying. I don't know if the men have heard this, but I read something the other day that said, I don't dress up for men. I don't make myself look good for men. I make myself look good for other women. A lot of the time when women are complimented by men, we know that it's bullshit. You just want to get in the pants, whatever. But when women are complimented by other women, it's like sincere. It's like, damn, like, ooh, I must be looking good because she likes my hair, or she asked where I got my shoes, or So I don't think I think it's less of a competition for us and more like we want to feel good about ourselves. We're doing something because we like how we look, or we like how we smell, or we, it is on a more self-love side for women.
I
And
agree with that.
Woman.
You in a relationship, Fawn?
I'm not.
Okay, picture this. Follow me on this logic. Okay, would you rather have another woman compliment you on a nice perfume you just bought, or a man who comes up behind you and grab your waist that you share intimacy with and say, "Baby, you smell good. I like that perfume." Which would you prefer? And this is no creep. This is someone you're familiar with, you have intimacy with. Which one would you prefer?
Not a creep, someone I'm into. Yeah, I would definitely prefer that, of course.
Yeah. Love to compliment y'all.
But we're not that's not a competition. Where I'm not
Oh no, I didn't say anything about competing. I'm just saying, look.
But that's what I was speaking on. I was speaking on things that we do, not always being for competition, but because it feels good for us.
That's fair. So what I was addressing is that men always say or compliment things because they want to get into your pants. That is true, but it's a partial truth in the sense of intimacy in intimate relationship. We genuinely love the things that you do, especially for yourself.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying it's always that way. I'm saying in general. In general, the single man and single woman.
At first meeting, like in an intimate relationship, I totally understand what you're saying. Fawn, I understand what you're saying, as in like, it comes off like very fake whenever a guy I know for me, I'm like complimented at the gym and stuff, and I'm like the way you're looking at me is just, it's creepy. But like whenever another woman's like, "Damn girl, your thighs are looking good," I'm like, "Yes, queen, I know, thank you." But whenever a guy says it, it's so creepy, and I'm just like, why are you staring at me right now?
Can I add on this part? Can I add on this part? Women love compliments from men, but only men that they find attractive. You only find it creepy. You only find it creepy if it's not attractive.
No, men have to be very careful of how they say things.
Exactly, the delivery matters.
It does.
Like if you come off as a creep, we're still gonna be like, but if you're respectful about it, we're gonna be like, "Thank you, we appreciate. I appreciate. I'm flattered. Thank you. Have a good day."
Randy, he'd have to come up and say, "Damn, you really got some great gains in your quads."
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine to me, because you're not walking up like, "Damn girl," like staring at me, like all this. I've had really creepy stuff, and like I've had some very, very respectful guys compliment me on like at the gym if I'm like lifting heavy, whatever. But it's like, it is about delivery. But it goes the same way with women. I know at times I've probably come off a little creepy to men if I thought they were attractive. And, it's like, it's all about delivery. And it's just, we have to be mindful of how other people perceive what you say.
Yeah. Well, there's difference.
Can I just correct you? Ben don't find it creepy if you compliment us.
Yeah.
Damn, she noticed?
Not at all.
Well,
and the thing is,
context
yeah,
matters.
tone don't matter.
Yeah,
tone do not matter.
Once
when women
I told
do
a
it,
man, I said, "Ooh, papi, me likey," and he
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
Oh hell yeah! He's gonna have a battery.
Yeah.
He's gonna have a battery at the back on his back for the next week. He's like, "Damn, that cute girl just complimented me." Damn,
just like I was
yeah.
saying, Ren, it was like if the men, the delivery does mean something, because a man can say it because there can be an inherent fear of danger if a dude just say, "Damn that ass," A woman can say, "Damn that ass," and you be like, "This ass," and be all done with it.
This one right here.
Yes, and then you have to worry, okay, is this a dangerous situation? Is there an inherent danger behind it? So yes, we do have to be aware of how we say things and we approach things to where we can mitigate the likelihood that where you feel like you might be in danger.
Right. I got you. Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense.
Maybe it's just a better way to say, ladies, are you more if the more attractive the man is, the more tolerant you are on his delivery?
Don't really matter.
No, I have seen some like drop dead gorgeous men, and they
depend on what he's delivering.
Once I remember this one man specifically. Once he opened his mouth, I'm like, "You are so gorgeous." Once he opened his mouth, I was like, no, and I walked away. I was like, I cannot. You know, it does. You know, looks don't mean everything. Like once again, substance. You have to have like quality to you.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can definitely show you some screenshots of conversations where men that I thought were fucking sexy message me with the wrong thing, like a dick pic right away.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
That's not gonna work for
Yeah,
me. Like
guys,
that's
don't
just
do that.
you're doing too much. Like
That's
you
like
have
slow,
I'm really like into intelligence and I
unsolicited.
want to learn from you.
Yeah.
So if you don't have nothing to offer other than a pretty dick, like you're not going to be the only one with that. I'm sorry. So
There's
yes,
a lot of
delivery truly does matter.
I want to just say this because I don't know. It's been like bouncing around in my brain when we were talking about the what you bring to the table situation. I don't want this to make turn this into a big thing or what have you.
See you, Dave.
I mean, like Rose pretty much kind of nailed it, and I'm gonna tell you why she did. She gets the gold star because what a men want to hear, and this is my wife said a variation to this. I was a while ago, so I don't know. I'm paraphrasing what she said. If you feel like you are with a guy that has a plan and who's a guy that you could lead, that you could follow his lead, and he has your best interest in heart, the thing that comes off really powerful to a man is, I see where you're going. I value you as a leader. I see you as a man. That whatever it takes, whatever the things are that make you feel validated, happy, content, I'm going to learn that things and judiciously do those things as often as possible to make sure you never feel less than the man that you are. Some version of that. I'm going to learn what makes you happy and consistently do those things. That's what sets you apart. There's a lot of things people rail off. Oh, I'm going to be sweet outside of sex because of course there's expectation of exclusivity of sex.
Yeah, cushy anywhere.
Yeah, but it's just like if you are a lot of women ramble off a bunch of shit that they would do for their best friend. Like, oh, I would be a good ear. I would, rub their back if I would talk to them if they're feeling down. I would give them good advice. I would cook for them. I was like, but I know my wife does that for her best friend, Carmen. She does all those things and that's not her husband. The thing is, if you say the things that make you happy, just like Rose said, it makes him happy to get that cup of coffee in the morning because it's exclusively something she will do for him. I mean, you may do it for your best friend, but you're not getting up at 4 a.m. to give your best friend a cup of coffee. And that's the way it is. You find the things that are exclusively.
You stand your ass and do it yourself, girl.
Exactly. That exclusively say, I value you, so I'm going to do these things just for you. That's what you bring. That's the answer to
it's the exclusivity, the loyalty, the I don't know how to put it in better words. What was that?
The partnership, and it's just expressing your love to each other in those
But I'm saying, but you do that to your friend. You have a partnership. You have a different type of it, but you have a partnership with your best friend. You express love to your best friend. You express concern for your best friend. You give insight to your best friend. Only thing you don't do to a lot of your best friends is fuck them. Excuse my bluntness. But that's what it is. But you need to find those things over and above those things that you can provide to your best friend outside of sex. I know he loves that coffee in the morning. So he's getting that fucking coffee in the morning. I know he loves this, that, and that. So I'm going to do that. And I wouldn't do that for anybody else, male or female, friend or foe. I wouldn't do that. I'm doing that exclusively for him because he's my man. I value him, and I'm gonna show you that he's valued every day. That's why the answer to that question. I mean, and Fawn, I know that the I'm the table thing is a woman empowerment thing, but it doesn't move the needle when men are thinking about, okay,
I don't need it to move the needle because I'm not here to prove myself. I'm not here to sell myself. I'm not a salesman. What I mean by saying that is that if you have a line of women, you go ahead and run through that line of women if that's what you need to do. But if you want me, just like if I want you, I gotta like prove myself or whatever, that takes time. What she's saying she does for her man took time. That's not something she automatically brought. You know what I'm saying? So I could give a list of things that I have done for men or could do for a man, but I'm not here to do that because I'm not selling myself. And when I have the time with that man to show him who I am and what I bring, that's all I need.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to
Can
add
we
to
add to
what Fawn
this?
said, because Fawn said about the table thing. I do agree with the table analogy. I'm gonna tell you why. Hold on. I'll tell you why I believe in it. Well, I did not bloomed and opened up on my femininity and my vulnerability until he submitted and opened up to his vulnerability towards me, when he showed me that his guard was down and that he was willing to compromise for me. That's when I turned all down and I started doing those things more excessively and more consistently, because he earned it. He earned it, and that's why I go above and beyond for that man no matter what. But he earned that.
And you can make that part of the stipulation, is that if you have to earn this, but this is what I'm willing to do for my man. And if he earns it, and if I feel him valuable enough to receive that.
Exactly.
Damien, I think we need to correct this idea that the kind of man with standards as option means that he runs through them we're conflating these things for other type of men. If we're speaking values and standards, typically these type of men will have the options, but they won't exercise it like these talking points.
Mm-hmm.
They're concentrated on something that is much more important, which is being financially stable, looking ahead in terms of, if I have children, what are the things that I'm going to have in order for those children to come into this world? What kind of woman do I want to be with? So we have to get away from this talking point of, I don't have to compete for this type of man. If you want a man of standard, you have to put yourself at a degree that is far higher than most women are doing today, which is the Instagram model lifestyle, the talking points of, whatever it is. We have to compete in the idea of men and women who have standards don't exercise the options that they have, and they do have the options, which is very rare, in the sense of these individuals reserve their time for what is important. When they make decision on the people that they want to invest in, they want to make sure that they invest, that they made the best investment that they can, right? So I get it. Look, we hear on the internet so many times people saying exercise your options. I dislike that notion, because what sort of time are these men typically have? And I'm privileged enough to be in a position where I feel these guys come through the negotiation table that I sit down, and they're not interested in running through women like that. They're not. They're just not.
That's true. All right. Anybody want to respond? You good? Yeah. I think that, in my perspective, I think for a lot of women, that the reason why they don't understand the word competition, because for most women, you guys don't really have to compete for men, because you always have access to men. I think there's always a man in your life right now that would take it if you want to. And I think for the world of men, it's a little bit different. I think for men that we actually have to compete. And if you don't compete as a man to become the type of man that most women would seem attractive, the reality is for a lot of guys is they don't get no access for women. So the guys who compete and win, they get a woman, they get to start a family, and then create a legacy. For the women who don't choose, for the men who don't choose to compete, the reality for those men is they don't get women, or they don't have families, or their bloodline dies with them. But you don't have that same experience, because I know you guys have high standards, but I promise all the women on this panel, there's a guy right now in the friend zone that's willing to take you if you gave him the opportunity, and he would wife you and treat you well. And that's why for a lot of women, psychologically, you don't really feel the need to compete, because you have that guy that can save you. But for men, like, there's no woman out there that's gonna save a man if he's unwilling to compete. So that's why for us, it's a different experience for us, because we understand as men we have to compete. If we don't compete, the default is you become invisible to the world, and then you don't have family, you don't have kids, and your bloodline ends.
I agree, and it's sad. It's so sad that it's like that.
Now, you don't have to be sad. That's how
No,
biology
I know.
works.
I know it's like part of it or whatever, but it shouldn't have to be like that. And I think somebody needed a term earlier. I think instead of compete, it's putting yourself out there and knowing what you are bringing to the table, and just being present with a woman and seeing how that connects. So like to me, I'm like, there's, you know, I have a bunch of guy friends, and if, for example, it was just like speed dating, and like we just saw how I saw what their confidence was like, I saw like how they talk to themselves, how they treat themselves, and like how they talk to me. Like it's really not necessarily in my eyes competing, it's them being present and being confident in themselves to put themselves out there to see who they connect with better.
Yeah.
That's my version of competition. I just realized
you can never date those guys that are in your friend zone right now. Never,
Oh,
never,
no.
never date those
No,
guys.
no,
And I'm
no,
gonna tell you
no,
why.
no.
I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell
Don't
you
either.
why. Because somewhere in the
They're
back,
not
they can play
competitive.
mental gymnastics, but they'll always know you didn't really want them. They feel like you settled for
Yeah,
them.
they'll
Some
be
people can fool
insecure
themselves
all
and be
the
like,
That was just an example. I was not saying I'm going to do that.
okay.
Okay, just to clarify.
Yeah, let's not advocate for men in the friend zone.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, stay in the friend zone until you compete. All right.
But
But
just real quick
go
before
ahead,
you
Kurt.
close.
Go ahead,
Yeah, I'll
Kurt.
just say I think sometimes people need to look at competition a little different. And that's why I said indirect, because I think man or female, you got to put yourself in the best position to attract what you want. And so I think like that competition, like building yourself up, you know, whether it's the gym, spiritual, you know, your finances, it's just going to put you in an overall better position over anybody, and it's going to help you attract what you need to attract. So I just think sometimes people need to look at it that way versus like, we're not saying like you got to go out there and like push people over, jump on the guy's face, but it's just it would just make life easier for you. But I don't care if you're a man or a woman, if you're like well-rounded, you hit those like different areas like I was mentioning, you're gonna stand out if you got the character, the people skills. So I think that's the competition part that we're trying to say and stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right. But
I just want to, before
yeah.
we finish,
Yeah, go
well,
ahead.
can we look? May I implore you to get away from anyone who sees their significant other as best friend or friends? There should be a higher honor in becoming not only just boyfriend, girlfriend, but also wives and husband.
Mm-hmm.
Your best friend, you can stop talking to them for years on end and get back together and it's fireworks again. It's different when you're in a relationship. You have to maintain that on a day-to-day basis. You may do best friend-like things. You may be best friend-like in terms of communication and things like that. But there should be a higher honor and degree that we give people that we find close intimacy with and we pick to be with for the entirety of our lives.
Absolutely.
May I employ all of you to reserve that honor for someone who is quote-unquote special.
Yes.
Okay. Palafesta, as always, saying something profound to end the podcast, like Damon always says. But thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. We've come to the end. And shout out to everybody in the live chat. A lot of you guys watched the entire stream. And Manic. Oh, shout out to you, Manic. Just drop the super chat. As a woman, having awareness is just more nuanced way to encompass competition, standing out, etc. All right, thank you for sharing that, Manic, and everybody that was watching the entire stream. A lot of you guys watched from IG. Thank you so much for watching. If you find value in the content, I appreciate you guys. The best way to support is to smash that like and subscribe button so we get notified when we do go live next time. Next Wednesday, hot topic, new panel, and new guests. But pass to the guests. Thank you for making the time. I appreciate you guys for being part of the pod tonight. What's your final thoughts from tonight? Your takeaways, and how can people find you? Just in case your ideal man may see you and wants to compete for you. Okay. I'll start with you, Ren. Thank you for making the time. What's your final thoughts from tonight's discussion, and how can people find you?
Yes. Well, thank you for having me on tonight. This was it's funny because like this topic has been like something I've talked about like the past week. So hearing all of y'all's perspective on it, it was very insightful. And I learned a lot on my own now perspective. So yeah, it was a very insightful topic for sure. Very, I know popular nowadays. And you can find me actually on all social media. It's at Ren Michelle. That's with one L. Official on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Yeah, that's everything I think.
All right. Thank you so much, Ren. We'll keep it moving. Pass it to you, Fawn. Fawn, thank you so much. Adding your perspective tonight. Definitely enjoyed it. What's your final thoughts and how can people find you?
Thanks for having me. It was fun. I've not done this type of podcast before, and I've always loved this type of thing. Like I was on debate team in school. So overall, I just think it's really nice to be able to hear different people's opinions. And a lot of us were able to not only agree, but kind of turn someone else's head. Like a few people have changed their mind on how they started. So that's always fun. You can find me on Instagram as poisoned.ivory, POYZEND.IVORY, and Fawn Bailey on Facebook.
All right. Thank you so much, Fawn. It was good to have you on tonight. Keep it moving. Claudia, thank you for jumping on for tonight's pod. Final thoughts, and you definitely didn't pass out, so I appreciate that.
No, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, definitely proud. Go ahead.
No, thank you for having me. Honestly, this is my first time ever doing one, so thank you for considering me. I had so much fun. And I mean, my take, I guess, my hope is for everyone to, as corny as this sounds, make love strong, hey, make that a choice daily in any relationship, So yeah, thank you for having me. And if you want to find me, I'm mostly active on Instagram at CATITAG Fit.
All right. Thank you so much, Claudia. I'll pass it to the fellas. Fellas, thank you for making the time as always. Final thoughts and how can people find you? I'll start with you, Manic. Go ahead.
I just want to say my final thoughts are this podcast was mostly about male validation. Just want to get that on the record. I want to stand strong on that. You can just summarize. Yeah, you can just summarize the whole thing up. No, I had a great conversation. Very, very interesting. Listen to everybody's perspective on the different topics. Definitely value it because it allows me to see things from, a broader perspective. Excellent points were made. And you can find me on IG. That's where I am mostly at the Manic Genius. So some of y'all had some difficult IG handles. I was trying to write some stuff down. So just follow me and I'll just follow back. It'll probably just be easiest.
All right. Manic, as always good to have you on. Pass it to you, Jerk. Jerk, final thoughts and how can people find you?
No, I think this was a great conversation. I think we definitely need to keep doing these because getting good men and women that are open-minded together, I think that's always a great conversation and stuff. So yeah, no, I thought it was great. You could catch us on a Manic Sophistication channel. We do some panels on there and movie reviews and stuff. I'll be over there acting a fool. But ladies, real quick, just in the beginning, I did say, get you a light-skinned guy because you will be priced out the market come next year. So we're half price right now. Put your bids in because this time next year, I'm telling you, the stock's going up. So get you a light-skinned guy now.
I already told y'all my preference.
Don't be out the market. You're gonna be looking around like, Mom, I want one of those, and she can be like, look, that costs too much. Keep it pushing.
Be like was that those Cabbage Patch Dolls in the 80s?
yeah. You lines wrapped around the building. I'm telling, don't miss out. This your opportunity.
All right,
that's it, Will.
I appreciate it, Jerk. Always good to have you on. Damien, final thoughts. How can people find you, Damien?
Yeah, this was a great topic, and I think the women were really insightful. I really appreciate all the good points that they had. My final thought is just like that. There's going to be a lot of things trying to influence the way you out there dating. Just making sure that the main thing that's influenced the way you out there dating is your value set, the things that you value. Don't compromise those. You can compromise preferences, just don't compromise your value because it's those values. When you meet somebody who has aligned values, those are the things that can determine whether or not you have a long-term relationship or just a short blip in your story. So yeah, don't compromise that. If somebody want to follow me on IG, it's Can I Get Some Podcast, spelled exactly like that. Can I Get Some
More
Podcast?
energy, please, Damien.
I'm a fake ass podcaster. I do a podcast like once a month. I get a panel once a month, but I got a YouTube channel called Can I Get Some Podcast. The link is on my Can I Get Some Podcast IG. So hopefully I'll follow you. You follow me and I'll follow you back.
All right. Thank you so much, Damien. And last but not least, Paulo, final thoughts and how can people find you?
Yeah, look, we cavemen, we are a dying breed. So apparently, we don't, as a man, you don't have to have chest hair, which I've lost some testosterone just hearing that. Look, without being facetious, men should influence the dating marketplace. The reason why is we stand and we revere responsibility, and responsibility comes from the idea that we stand to a principle and to a value system, like Damien was saying. So unfortunately, that's not how it goes. We've just heard in this panel people saying standards are very specific to very specific people. I think standards should be somewhat all across the board generalized, in the sense that I want someone who is healthy enough in the way that they articulate themselves. I want someone who is who finds security and safety for a woman a priority, and someone who is always going to be accountable for whatever decision that they make. And I will do my best to reflect those things in the man that I find. Those are very simple. And you can standardize that for whatever man that you come across. And again, ladies, the type of man that you describe who has these values don't compete the way that you think we do. We reserve and we take things a lot serious in the directions and the foresight that we have. So we look at women in the way of, yeah, I don't want to deal with you because we just don't align in the values that we do. Oh, she's going above and beyond. She's cute. Oh, she does her best to at least make herself known. Let's see where this goes. So, again, you know, the chest here still got me sort of shaken, so I'll leave that with y'all. But, well, it's always a privilege and an honor to share at least my 2 cents into the ladies. Been interesting hearing y'all talk about a lot of the things that you want from men, so I'll keep listening. It doesn't make sense, and it might be that I'm in a different era, but keep talking. We'll try and listen more.
All right. Thank you so much, Paulo. And all the guests tonight, thank you so much. My last thought tonight, because we're talking about the influence to improve the modern dating culture. I just want to say to everybody that's watching, if you're going to take advice or try to get the outcomes that you want, just make sure that the advice that you're going to get online about improving your dating life, get it from the people that are actually getting the results and that you want, the type of relationship you want. Sometimes I see this for both men and women. To be fair, the advice and the things you get, the type of people that you get influenced by to dictate how you live your modern dating life aren't the type of people or have the type of relationships that you would want yourself. And I see this for both men and women. So just make sure if you're going to be influenced, make sure you get influenced by the right people and by the people that you see for yourself, that they have the results of the life and the relationship that you want, and try to duplicate that for yourself. But there's a lot of things on social media that are influencing people to go the wrong way. But as always, everybody in the live chat, thank you so much. E-Rock, I saw a lot of new names here. Mulos Shanzi, Vados Bulldog. And if I missed your name, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. As always, everybody in IG, thank you so much for watching the entire stream. The best way to support me is to like and subscribe, and definitely support everybody on here on this panel. But as always, thank you so much. We go live next time. I'll see you guys next week, next Wednesday. Ladies, gents, have a good night. Peace. Peace, y'all. Go compete.